Dun, 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 dun. Guess who's back? It's Brother Ron, back with another one. Instant we all be classic. It's been too long, but hot dog gone. I'm back. Hey, family, welcome to another wonderful, entertaining, agitating edition of The Art of This Stinks. We all be number one thought provocateur. I'm your host for the empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, The Art of This. It's been a long time and a lot going on, and I keep it moving. And I want to thank you all for being patient, patiently waiting for Brother Ron to get back on. And so much to talk about, so little time. My time is flying. I can't speak for anybody else. I hope y'all can hear me loud and clear. Let me check the ones and the twos. And so much to talk about, so little time. My time is flying. Okay, y'all can hear me. And I just want to get on here because I'm going to hit the road very soon for the first road trip of the summer. Summertime. Thank you, brother. Marquel Garrett. Thank you. I feels good to be back home. But I got a lot on my mind and so much to take in, but I just want to offer my thoughts. I just feel real bad when I don't get a chance to connect with the family like I want to, because I do a lot of stuff. I'm a one-man movement. People assume that I got a staff of people, researchers and stuff like that, and people helping me out. And I want to thank the people who do help and support the channel and the movement, the information movement, because we all be in it to win it. I want to thank our donations. I want to appreciate it. Come timely. I just don't know doing this work. Time is very expensive. Time is an illusion, but at the same time, to invest time, you can't get a refund on that. Whether you think of whatever you think of time, putting resources, putting yourself, putting your energy to anything. And also, people don't understand I'm doing frontline work. I'm not just talking about it, I'm being about it. And we'll talk about the things I have been doing and we'll continue to do for the people. But like Dick Gregory would tell me often that, when the universe soul God uses you, sometimes the universe soul God does not leave any evidence or fingerprints or footprints that you've been utilized for this cause that's bigger than oneself. So Dick was looking like we in the military for universal justice. Now, we're not in the military to destroy people and to secure people's resources and properties, but we're in the military to fight the war for liberation and self-determination of humanity. So I'm often reminded of that. Dick gave me my marching orders before he departed, into the realm of the righteous ancestors. But I want to talk a little bit about that. And I may do another show before I hit the road, Ron. And do come back some more. So I'm gonna hit the road, kick out this summer. Finally got a vehicle that is suited for the journey. And I want to thank my former vehicle, because I named my cars. I had a car, Saturn Ion, named Frank, because we did it our way. Just had a Ford Escape. Seen better day, but it was tough and resilient. Tough, like it was a strong black woman, strong. I call her Black Bessie, after Bessie Smith, the Empress of the Blues, because she took a lot of hits, took a lot of licks, and kept on ticking. And Bessie got me through some rough times. I had her for about 3 years. Had to reconstruct her steering column. I was driving that car while Indian Power steering for almost 3 years. So her neck was reconstructed like Peyton Manning's neck, the football quarterback. They had to reconstruct his neck for like a Frankenstein type of thing, but she got me through. Can't complain. She was very dependable, durable for what she was, and she got me through some lean and mean times. So I want to thank Sister, my car. Dick said, black men are more protective of their cars than their women. But Dick is interested in his insights on black men. You touch a black man's car, he'll have a hissy fit. I'm not that type of black man, but I understand what Baba Dick was saying. You go to a beauty salon to beautify yourself because you think you ugly. The words create worlds. Words have powerful meanings beyond what we really realize from the day to day. So with that said, we're going to talk a little bit about what I can. I'm gonna try to keep this within 2 hours. Neighbors, they complain about noise. Some of this stuff, like if I breathe, it's noisy to so many people. It's the way these things are set up here, like the walls are thin and stuff like that. So it feel like I'm in a halfway house sometimes when I'm talking, but I say the hell with it, because if I do my work, like the righteous ancestors told me, Brother Ron, if you do what we need you to do, we'll take care of you. So my life is in the hands of a higher power. I don't answer to these so-called principalities and institutions. If black folks are really honest with ourselves, we've been bullied all our lives. Kwame Brown ain't the only one living a bust life. But sometimes to live a bust life is to live your best life, because Kwame is really beyond category in terms of he succeeded in living his life as a masculine black man. And my thing is what's interesting, the world is upside down. You would think a person like, for example, Dwayne Wade will be more of an alpha male, considering his impressive basketball resume. I mean, whatever you think about his politics and his home life, D Wade is one of the greatest basketball guards of all time. Two-way guard, all that stuff. He's, in his prime, D Wade was up there with the best of the best. But you think that his aggressiveness on the court would match his personal life, but hey, but Kwame Brown did not succeed to expectations on the court, but he's excelling beyond any type of soft bigotry or low expectations off the court. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's a throwback. It's like, think about somebody like a Jim Brown, who was told by Art Modell, the owner of the Browns, you better come back to camp or else. Jim Brown said, the hell with y'all. I'm going to quit football and pursue Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Jim Brown retired before the age of 30 in football, but yet he set the standard for excellence on the gridiron. He's arguably the greatest football player of all time. Now, people will say, well, Tom Brady, he got all the Super Bowls. There were no Super Bowls when Jim Brown was playing. Jim Brown played in the pre-Super Bowl era. Jim Brown should have been the first black person to win a Heisman Trophy, but they cheated him. The Heisman voting people gave it to a guy named Paul Hornung from Notre Dame. And Paul Hornung played for the Green Bay Packers. He's an all-time great in his own way, but he did not deserve to win over Jim Brown that year when Jim Brown was dominating football from Syracuse. He was an orange man who happened to be a black man, but ended up going to this guy named Ernie Davis. The Express movie was made about Ernie Davis. He was the first black person to win a Heisman. Unfortunately, he did not play one down in football. He was drafted by the Cleveland Browns when Jim Brown was still there. Man, could you imagine that Jim Brown and Ernie Davis playing on the same team? And this is before the Super Bowl era, but I think Ernie Davis died from leukemia or something like that, some type of cancer. And he never played a down in football, which is a tragedy, but he did win the Heisman that Jim Brown should have won first, But Jim Brown was a black man. He was from the Georgia Islands. He's a Gullah Geechee type of dude, just like Kwame. And he was masculine, a very masculine man. He believed in manhood and standing up for yourself. Like Art Modell would try and say, you my boy, come back here right now, boy. And Jim Brown said, I'm a man. So the hell with football. And Jim Brown set all the records. He only played less than 10 years of professional football. He set the standard. I mean, he rushed for over 1,800 yards when it was like a 14-game season. No, OJ was the first to rush for 2,000 yards, but I think he played 16-game season. OJ won the all-time greats. I don't care what nobody say. He's in the top 5, 2, 3 running backs of all time. Anybody who's seen him play up close, Judge Joe Brown played against OJ when he was, playing football at UCLA, and they played USC. So Judge in the house. Judge can tell you from experience. OJ was unstoppable, And people believe those commercials on Hertz, though, to believe that OJ, did what they say he did. He didn't do. I'll never believe. And rest in peace and honor to F.Lee Bailey, a white man who knew that OJ was innocent. F.Lee Bailey went to his grave knowing that OJ did not do it. He defended OJ in court. F.Lee Bailey, one of the greatest lawyers of all time. He's up there along with Johnny Cochran, the Dream Team. F.Lee Bailey's up there with Clarence Darrow, any of the greatest legal minds that this country ever produced. He's up there with that. I wish I could have interviewed him, but it is what it is. But I did interview Dick Gregory. I did interview Paul Mooney. So I mean, life is interesting. But Yeah, I'm just doing all this rambling and rumbling. I hope y'all can hear me loud and clear. The jazz band is back. Yes, I am. I am truly the jazz man. I was listening to a lot of Stan Kenton today. Stan Kenton was a bad white boy in a good way. I didn't know Stan Kenton was that bad because you think about people call people culture vultures, but this is Black Music Month. But Stan Kenton had a respect for Black music excellence. Y'all need to check out some Stan Kenton. That boy was bad, boy. He had an ear for music. It reminds me of echoes of Sun Ra and Jimmie Lunceford and Duke and Count Basie. But he had a respect for our music, for our thing. Now I'm not part of the go long get long game as far as Bearded Club. I might shave this off before I go out of town this week. So I don't need no co-signers for validation on that, but I appreciate it though. I just wear what I want to wear. I don't answer nobody. Yeah, Judge Joe Brown actually did a classic interview. I really thoroughly enjoyed his Alex Jones tribute or Alex Jones show, allowing him the platform. I remember when Alex Jones interviewed Baba Dick Gregory some years ago. And I think Alex did a great job of respecting these men's this brilliance and encyclopedic knowledge and stuff like that. And Judge, I think, really, I've been listening to Judge since 2014. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff he was saying is not new to me because I've been interviewing since 2014. I was really the first outlet to really interview him on a regular and consistent basis outside of his Judge Joe Brown show, and opening people's ears and eyes and minds to another side of Judge that people were not used to seeing. Because you got to understand, Judge Joe Brown was not Hollywood. He's from L.A., but he's well grounded as being a public servant. He was Memphis's first Black prosecutor DA in Shelby County. So he's a trailblazer. He's a public servant. Judge is one of them people like Dick Gregory or another person I really respect, Judge D.Army Bailey. Judge D.Army Bailey, the co-founder of the National Civil Rights Museum, and also a guy who appeared in a lot of movies. Like he was the minister in How Stella Got Her Groove Back. He was the Black judge in The People versus Larry Flint. And he was a friend of mine who I lost to cancer back on July 12th, 2015, some 6 years ago, this July. But Judge was well grounded in community service and being a public servant. And Judge got his fame late in the game. Like he was in his late 40s, early 50s when the national scene caught up with Judge. And, so he already had his trial by fire. But Judge been saying that stuff on my show for years. And I noticed in the comment section on bandtv.com that folks acknowledge that, hey, Brother Ron been having Judge on. He been talking about this on Brother Ron's show for a long time. But it's kind of like when I saw Judge on Alex Jones, his delivery and stuff, everything was this on point, it's well polished. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like Judge was in the zone, like he was focused, his clarity in what he was saying. Judge always been very prophetic in what he's been saying. He's been consistent on the things he said, like on the Alex Jones show for years. So if you look at been following us since 2014, you'll know that. And I laugh sometimes people say, well, Bro, why you interview Judge the restaurant? We can hardly hear. I say, that's it is what it is. It was a spur of a moment thing. It is what it is, man. I'm working with what I got. And people, well, I was licensed the FCC and all. Okay, that's fine. It's good for you. But you know what? I'm a pioneer. And sometimes you're gonna, hit some misses, man. But yet I left enough for y'all to consume off the Judge food for thought. There's enough at the table for y'all to eat off of Judge wisdom. Thank you, we all be, but people always want to get you for the things you don't do right or things not perfect versus the things you did get right. Like it was a fanatic. This is Black Music Month, and I'm a big fan of Charlie Parker, Bird. Y'all need to go ahead and not only listen to Bird's music, but go on that YouTube and listen to his interviews. Bird sounded like he was a college professor. He had a nice, silky, smooth baritone voice, but you would never know he was a high school dropout. And just listen to what Bird had to say as far as as a person. As an interview he did with Paul Desmond in 1954, a year before his death. Great Paul Desmond, great alto player, interviewed Bird on a radio station in Boston. It's worth listening to. And Bird said he got great at saxophone by practicing 11 to 15 hours a day for 3 to 4 years. He practiced the saxophone for 11 to 15 hours a day for 3 to 4 years to get that sound. Bird was not a prodigy. Bird did not have perfect pitch according to the people that's in the know, but yet he made a lasting contribution. You know what I mean? The prodigies and people of perfect pitch never left the same music legacy as a Charlie Parker, who was a late bloomer by many standards. He was a Virgo. So that Kobe thing is not about being a Mamba. Kobe was a Virgo. Virgos are very driven, obsessive, compulsive people that once they put their mind on something, they just work it out until they work it out. You know, like you look at somebody like Nas. Nas is a Virgo. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. Michael Jackson's a Virgo. It makes sense. Dave Chappelle is a Virgo. It makes sense. They work on perfecting their craft. They get in the zone. They get obsessive with it, excuse me, and they work it out. And I don't know what I'm saying all this to say, but you know, I've been doing this for a while. Traveling, I'm a Taurus, you know, and Taurus, we great people. We the manifest stars of the zodiac. You know, if you want to get something done, you holler at a Taurus, and we get it done by any means necessary. By the way, Malcolm X is a Taurus. So, no, I'm in the field, man. I'm working trial. It was Dick Gregory stuff. I mean, yeah, you know, the sound could have been better, but you know, I'm working on trial by fire, man. I don't got no mentors or no Jagness show me how to do this. I'm just being led by passion, and it is what it is. And let the historical record note, yeah, some things could have been better, but look at the things, the jewels, the gems I was able to capture. See, it's not about the misses, it's about the hits. You know, Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made, but we don't talk about the misses. You know, Babe Ruth got more strikeouts than home runs, but we don't talk about the strikeouts. See, I work it a different way. I'm a man of an underdog. I never had the popularity or the acclaim of some of my peers and contemporaries. You know, it's funny to me. It's where I live in a twilight zone. You know, like people, like, you know, like how black, they stole my song. I like people stealing my narrative. I'm like, damn, that's how they talking about me, but they don't know me. I remember I was in art school and we was doing a critique, you know, with my peers and our professors. We doing like a critique session. And I said something that was very profound. But yet my professor, one of the professors came after me and said the same thing. And we was in a room together in real time, you know, and the students had to point it out. Hey, Ron already said what you said. And she's like, huh? I mean, you my professor supposedly, but yeah, you're not even paying attention to me. And I was the only black student in the class. They used to call me Mr. Unteachable. No, I had how they call Kwame Brown bust. They call me unteachable. This is at the college level. Not because I could not learn, but I refused to submit to assimilation. I just wanted to be myself, and they was punishing me for being myself. So I'm used to being bullied all my life. See, I'm like Kwame. I can relate to, if you're an honest black person, you know you've been bullied. And you know you still are being bullied. We the most bullied people in the whole goddamn thing. Excuse me, whole thing. Black men are the most despised and disrespected group of people in America. It's not black women. It may have been black women 50, 60 years ago when Malcolm X was walking the earth, but if you look at it now, it's the fear of black masculinity. That's the greatest threat, black masculinity. It's not anything else. It's not black femininity. It's black masculinity is the greatest threat to the overthrow of this so-called system. That's why black men are kept docile, emasculated, and misunderstood. Now it's not misunderstood, misunderstood. Because people don't even understand me. They don't understand me. But why am I talking about this? So what do we need to talk about? And hopefully under 2 hours. I got some things lined up. I got into Bird. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's just the real day. The Virgos are perfectionists. They love it. They can't help themselves. A lot of great Virgos. A lot of great Virgos. Good evening, brother Rashawn. I'm just running my mouth, but I feel like I had to get in front of the people before I get out of here. I'm on a road trip, about to start an epic road trip, the first epic road trip I have taken a while this summer. No, summer don't start till after June 20th or 21st or something like that. But I'm on my way to New York. I'm going to be paying homage to Baba Dick Gregory. I'm going to be going to his screening of his documentary made in his honor, the one and only Dick Gregory. And this is my first time being up in New York since the fall of 2016. That's the last time I was up in New York, and I was there for Baba Dick Gregory's birthday. We celebrated his birthday at Caroline's on Broadway, this famous comedy place out in New York City. I did not know at that time that it was going to be his last, birthday celebration in the flesh. Who knew that that would have been his last birthday celebration in October of 2016, and that was the last time. So I've been to New York. So like funny, the last time I went to New York was because of Baba Dick Gregory. Now the upcoming time coming to New York is because of Baba Dick Gregory, and Baba Dick Gregory has been really looking out for me. I feel like he's been watching me from the grave. Thank you, Brother Michael, for your donation. We love you madly. Appreciate it. They're going to be going in the gas tank. I'm going to be driving up to New York or driving to Maryland, then taking that mega bus up to New York to pay my respects to Baba Dick Gregory, because I guess he wanted me to be there at its screening of his documentary that Showtime brought. It's called The One and Only Dick Gregory. Showtime will be screening this at the Tribeca Film Festival. I never thought I would be going to the Tribeca Film Festival to watch a documentary on Baba Dick Gregory, and it's going to be available to the public on 4th of July. Showtime going to show it on the 4th of July, which is very fitting, because Dick Gregory was the conscience of America, really. Dick Gregory was the conscience of America, and he was disrespected for it, and people still don't know all the things Dick Gregory done. The receipts, man, because like it's an honor in hindsight. It bothered me that he would curse me out and stuff like that, go off on me, but really he was a drill sergeant getting me ready for the things to come. And time is now. Now's the time, as Bird would say. And he was very prophetic, and he went through a lot of stuff, and that's why he was angry at the end. It was a righteous anger. He wore his beard that way. He was like an Old Testament prophet. He went through the fire. He testified, he witnessed, like Dr. King said, I may not get there with you, to paraphrase Dr. King, but we as a people shall make it to the promised land. So he saw the promised land, but he knew he was not going to be there when we made it to the promised land. And I'm going to play some things, because Dick Gregory talked about Tulsa and Black Wall Street on my show. He talked about those things. Matter of fact, like I said, the neighbors be complaining about, I don't know why they complain. I can't help that I'm loud. I was made by God to be loud and to inform people. People are like, I gotta be quiet. I can't say anything, and try to mute me. It's so much stuff that goes on. I don't even talk about the stuff I go through. But let me play what Baba Dick Gregory said about Black Wall Street to show you how prophetic he was. He said this back in 2013 on my show. I started interviewing Baba Dick Gregory back in 2011. A friend of mine is the late, great Marcus Jones, who's the father of Michael Bell from the Gen 6 movement. See, a lot of y'all don't even know, but y'all can't remember Gen 6. It happened back in 2006 and 2007. And I was like one of the first platforms to interview some of the key players in the Gen 6 movement back in the summer of 2007. This is before September 2007, when a lot of black folks and stuff went down to Jenna, Louisiana to protest was what they were doing to the young black boys, the black teenagers. They were not black men. They were black teenagers in high school. Their lives was on the line. But what people don't know, Marcus Jones was very vocal about the treatment of his son, Michael Bell. Marcus Jones was a proud black, hetero black man. He was a man. Like Roland said, a man. He's a man. He was a man. But he was a man. Brother Marcus was a man, because he was living his life in Dallas. His son got in trouble. He went back to Gina, his hometown, to represent boots on the ground. His son, Michael, was the only one put in prison, did any type of time. But Michael ended up graduating from Southern University with honors, from my understanding, just days before his father was killed in a tragic accident. Like Marcus Jones actually fell off the back of a truck on a highway outside of Gina, or near Gina. He was collecting resources for a cookout for the homeless. Marcus was always very big in community. From my understanding of Marcus, he was always a giver. He believed in helping and serving and loving black people. So he died, he died while serving the cause. He died living his life. He died in the struggle for Black liberation and self-determination. And as long as I live, I will always talk about the greatness of Brother Marcus Jones. I spoke to his mom a couple years ago. I didn't know Marcus Jones was dead until after Dick Gregory died. And I went to look up Marcus Jones and found out that he died back in December 2014. Like I say, he fell out the back of a friend's truck, got ran over by cars on the highway. Nobody knows what really happens. You know what I'm saying? The friend got to the destination, looked back and saw that he was not in the back of the pickup. So he went to turn around and found his body on the highway. And it was a young lady, I believe, ran over him. But, I don't, who knows what happened to Brother Marcus Jones. But Marcus Jones was the guy who told me to interview Dick Gregory. He gave me Dick's contact information. So I called his house, and this maid answered. I think now in hindsight, it was Lillian that answered the phone, or Lil, his beautiful wife, that answered the phone, but she played the part of a housemaid or servant. And he told me to fax my interview request to her. But it took me maybe a year or so to follow up because, for whatever reason, I didn't follow up right away. So I ended up reading his autobiography. And I said, man, I'm gonna talk about with Dick Gregory. And so I sent my interview request back in, I want to say March of 2011, and the rest is history. He did my show on Blog Talk Radio. And the rest is history in terms of, we end up doing the Django review, and it went viral, and it really got Dick Gregory back on the map of the younger generation. That really was the spark. I'm going to tell my story because people keep on stealing my story, but that was the thing that got people really searching out Dick Gregory, younger people, not the elders, not the olders, but the younger generation got hip to Dick Gregory around 2013. And it happened because that Django review we did, I thought nothing of it. I put it out there on my YouTube channel. The next day, Dick called me with his wife, Lil, on the other line saying, hey, man, that thing we did? I said, yeah, I recorded this, actually. Man, it's viral, man. Man, I got called from Quentin Tarantino and Jamie Foxx and Reginald Hudlin. Man, that stuff went around the world. And whatever you need me to be on your platform, let Lil know I'm there. And Dick was a man of his word. Whenever I sought him out through fax to Lil, he would show up on my platform. Even when he was in the midst of this touring around the country, he would make time to talk to Brother Ron on my platform because he was grateful. As a matter of fact, like in August 2016, I saw him in Kansas City at the Kansas City Improv, did a good show. And he called me the next day, or we talked the next day. He said, this is like almost a year to the day before he died. Like it was like right before, like a year later, he was dead around that same time. It was about August the 20th, August the 19th of 2016. And a year later, he was dead. But he was telling me how grateful he was for the technology and for younger people like me putting him on to a new generation of people, because he said he was more popular now than he was in his prime. And Dick Gregory was one of the most famous men in America. He was the first Black comedian to sit down on the couch of the Tonight Show when it was hosted by Jack Parr. He set that standard. I mean, his career was the one that eventually was offered to Bill Cosby. Dick walked away from all that to go into the movement, and Bill Cosby took his place. Even Bill Cosby would say, hey, I took Dick Gregory's place. So, it's funny because Bill Cosby wanted to be Dick Gregory. And, you have people like Richard Pryor and George Carlin. They wanted to be Bill Cosby. So, but Dick Gregory was the one. You understand? He walked away from that position, and the rest is history. But he said, he was very grateful for shows like mine and for the internet and getting out his message, and amplify his message even in death is amplified. Because Baba Dick is omnipresent. When people ask me, do I miss Dick Gregory? I have to say no, because he's around me all the time. He's helping me even beyond the grave, like in terms of like giving me this chance to go to New York, like the ticket, like his son. I didn't know that I had a ticket to go. I just assumed. I interviewed Dr. Christian Gregory back in May. Was it May or was it early June? I can't recall now. Time going by so fast, but it's on We All Be TV channel. And it was Brother Mike Dennis. Shout out to Real Black, Brother Mike Dennis. He texted me on a Friday, about maybe 2 or 3, was it 2 Fridays ago? I mean, time was going by so fast. He said, "Oh, I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks." I said, "What you talking about?" He said, you know, Christian got you a ticket to the screening in New York." I said, "What? What?" He got me a ticket. So I text brother Christian the next day on Saturday. He confirmed it. So I'm in a scramble. This is a Mercury retrograde, y'all. We in a Mercury retrograde now. You know, if you follow me, you know I talk about Mercury retrogrades all the time. It's insane. So you know, I'm trying to get my logistics together. So either tomorrow or Thursday, I'm gonna have to drive like 13 hours to Maryland to catch a mega bus to New York, so I get there in time. And I want to go because I just remember, like I said, the last time I went to New York was because of Baba Dick Gregory's birthday, and that was a last minute thing. I was in Maryland, I had no plans to go, and then somebody, and I think my sister Melissa, shout out to Mo, she told me, "Hey, you know, Dick Gregory having his birthday thing up in New York. Are you gonna go?" I mean, she texted me this stuff. So it was a last minute decision. So I went. I thank God I went to see Baba Dick Gregory. Because what they end up happening is like one of the greatest interviews we ever did with Baba Dick Gregory, where he's like an Old Testament prophet, you know, that blank space behind him, and he got that beard all going every way, like he's like Tesla, and hair all this way, hair this way, beard this way, and he just spitting, just freestyling. And it got almost 1 million views, but I know good well it's over 1 million views easily. This is weird with these numbers on this site, you know. Sometimes I see my views go down, subscribers go down. I don't know if people actually unsubscribing or the views is weird. I lose like 1,000, 10,000 views, whatever, when I'm monitoring my site. And I know my influence is greater than what they showing in the views. I know they shadow banning me too as well. And I should have been had over 100,000 subscribers, but it is what it is. But I had to wait almost like 12 plus hours in the lobby of a hotel in Manhattan just to get the interview. I don't think y'all really appreciate all the stuff that I've been through. I know people, oh no, it could have been better quality. Oh, look, are you gonna wait 12 or 13 hours for somebody in a hotel lobby? Are you on a drive cross country? Hopefully to get in to see this person. And it's not always a guarantee. I did a lot of things. I don't talk about these things because I'm a soldier. Like Dick Gregory said, we're soldiers. If you don't like your assignment, get the hell out the army. That's what you tell me. You know, if you don't like the assignment, get the hell. See, the real movement people, they don't complain that much about what they go through. I seen Baba Dick Gregory war wounds. I seen what his fasting and what him running cross country has done to his body. He showed me his scars. Also, you can witness the mental scarring, the post-traumatic stress disorder, him cursing people out. He was on the front lines. He got beaten up and jailed, arrested. They tried to kill him many times. Try to poison Baba Dick Gregory. So you're going to be a little bit off the reservation too. You know, Dr. King said that human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. And Dick was a perfect example of a person who was creatively maladjusted. So you got to make room for that. But the reason why people can't understand that is because people don't know their history. We don't know who we are, let alone know who really Dick Gregory was and is. Because you don't research his history. Like I could tell you a lot of things about Dick Gregory. That's why you know what? If I don't care about the cursing now, because look at what he tried to do for our people. Look what he did do for our people and what he tried to do for our people. And there's a frustration in that. When you serving and loving black people, black folks a lot of times don't love or serve you back because we dealing with our self-hate issues as a people. I ain't talking about as individuals, but as a people. And I'm getting all into the sauce, but I really made a vow to try to, you know, I regret it. One of my regrets with Dick Gregory was not going to his Hollywood Walk of Fame celebration and a ceremony back in February of 2015, which took place on the anniversary, on his wedding anniversary. So it was like a wedding anniversary gift. Like his wife took a bet, took a risk on Baba Dick, and it paid off. I mean, shout out to Mama Lillian Gregory. I'm assuming I'm going to see her in New York this weekend, but she really took a gamble on Baba Dick Gregory and paid off. And really, that was a wedding gift in a way to have his Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony on his wedding anniversary. And I regretted not going because I ended up saying, let me just stay home and go to my uncle's Super Bowl party, which is nothing wrong. I love my uncle. I love our Super Bowl get-togethers, but I should have took my ass on the plane to L.A. to cover that because I could connect it with not only with Baba Dick Gregory, but for a lot of other people. I mean, there was a lot of people that was there, a lot of respect for Baba Dick Gregory, not only in the comedic world, but also just humanitarian, philanthropic. He was a philanthropist and a humanitarian. I mean, I sometimes just tumble and mumble over my words and rumble over my words, but philanthropy and humanitarian. Because you could be a philanthropist and hate people. You could be a humanitarian and be broke and poor. Because to be a humanitarian is just to give the best of your talents in service of humanity. Is to share your talents, your gift, your knowledge, your resources with humanity. To be a philanthropist is just to write a check or to give some money. You don't have to like people or love the people that you're giving money to. It could just be used as a tax write-off or as some type of strategy to get where you need to go on the board, on the game board. You know what I'm saying? So Dick was a philanthropist as well as a humanitarian. And so after that, I said, you know what? I'm going to try to make it to as many Dick Gregory things as I can. So I went to his birthday, not realizing that that's going to be his last one in the flesh, in the mortal coil. And I went to his homegoing celebration. And that was actually the same weekend as my anniversary of my scholarship program at Washington University in St. Louis. Shout out to the John B. Irvin Scholars Program. That was my first time missing that scholarship reunion post-graduation. I always went to all the John B. Irvin Scholars anniversary celebrations from 2002, every 5 years, 2007, 2012, but 2017 was the first time I missed. And one of the people of that program who helped me get through my years is Mr. Unteachable at WashU, the Honorable, beautiful Dean Glores. He passed away around Thanksgiving of 2017. So I missed my last chance to see one of the people that believed in me when I was going through what I was going through in college, alive, and to pay homage to Baba Dick Gregory. But it is what it is. We make choices, and you learn how to live with the regrets. You learn how to live with the mistakes. You also learn how to live with the blessings, hopefully, you know. So I don't know what New York has in store for me this weekend, but the ancestors want me to be there. And especially Baba Dick Gregory want me to be there. And I'm receiving it, but I gotta drive. I gotta figure out, do I want to leave tomorrow or can I do it on Thursday? Because I gotta drive like 13 hours to Maryland. I got a new car though. I'm not driving in my Black Bessie. I got a new car. Actually got a new car. Thank you all for supporting this movement because I could not get a car. I'm still paying car notes. I'm not looking forward to paying the car notes, but I was able to get a down payment on a car that was durable. Actually, I got the car on Malcolm X's birthday and Paul Mooney's death day. So that car is special to me. So I call that car like, there's a lot of great people born on May 19th. We lost a great one in Paul Mooney on May 19th. But in homage of the people that I love and respect on May 19th, I name it after that car. So let's say the car is named Malcolm Mooney. Malcolm, Yuri, Lorraine, Ho Mooney. So you got Nurse Yuri, Japanese American civil rights activist who was a close friend of Malcolm X. She was the one to try to resuscitate Malcolm X when he was shot, blown away by the powers that be. She was a member of the organization, the Afro-American Unity, Malcolm's organization. Nurse Yuri, she was born on May 19th, 1921. Malcolm was born on May 19th, 1925. Ho Chi Minh, leader of the Viet Cong resistance, was born May 19th, I believe, 1891 or 1890. Lorraine Hansberry, the playwright behind The Raisin in the Sun, To Be Young, Gifted, and Black. She was born May 19th, 1930. And of course, we lost Paul Mooney, May 19th, 2021, is when he became a righteous ancestor. So I named my car after them. It's like a 2018 Nissan Rogue. That Rogue name spoke to me because as a black man, we've seen as rogues. You're swarthy, untrustworthy. You're a rogue. You're a rogue. You know how that goes. We the boogeyman of America, and it's black. So I said, this is a great thing. Get this car, this blessing on this day. And I had a chance to meet Paul Mooney and give him his flowers. I gave him a We All Be Art of his Lifetime Achievement Award when I met him in Atlanta back in May of 2014. So it's been a ride for me. So I want to thank everybody who's been supporting me, rocking with me from day one. They were Wendy Williams. You know what? My mom and sister met Wendy Williams when she was down here in Memphis. They said the camera does not do her justice. She actually looked way better in person. You know, the camera is weird. TV put pounds on you. Now, you know, you look different on TV versus in real life. They said Wendy Williams actually is beautiful. I don't know. Maybe she is. I mean, she banged a lot of dudes. Either a lot of dudes that want to claim her allegedly. Maybe she do look better in person. Thank you. We love you, Madly. Thank you. Yeah, I'm one of the dudes that Dick Gregory used to scream at in front of the camera. You know, but it paid off. I feel like I'm one of Bob's chosen. He was like our drill sergeant. Topic for today. Yeah, brother Jonathan, how you doing, man? I remember you. It's always weird though when brothers see me in public spaces. I don't care if I'm in DC or in Memphis or L.A. You know, I'll be joking. I'll be saying, "Hey, man," people like, "Hey, you brother Ron?" I said, you know, what do I owe you money? Did I sleep with your wife or something? I mean, what's going on? He said, no, brother. I mean, I see we all be TV, man. Bobby Dick Gregory, Judge Joe Brown. I remember, man, shout out to you, brother Jonathan. I got a post about that. A lot of times I don't even post about all the things that go on with me. People accuse me of oversharing. I don't really overshare that much. Like my mom said, you always giving away all this information. I sit on a lot of stuff because sometimes I got a lot of crazy stuff going on with me. But it's just life. Like I said, like Dr. King said, rather, human salvation lies in the hands of the crazy maladjusted. So yeah, I remember you, brother Jonathan. Actually, it was like the Tuesday after my birthday. I just came back off the road for my birthday. My birthday was April 23rd, so that was April 27th. And something told me to go to. I love going to Kroger's. I know people love Whole Foods, but it's something about Kroger's. I love going to Kroger's, and I had this voice in my head because I was going to another Kroger's, but they told me to go to the one over there off of Mendenhall, Sunderland. And I went to that one, and I was in the checkout line, and I had my headset on, listening to my music, just blocking out everything. And the lady who ran the checkout center over there, she got my attention. She said, sir, he's trying to talk to you. I'm like, look at this dude. I was like, okay, wait a minute. What do you want? It's Memphis, man. You know, Memphis is interesting. I know about Memphis. But he's like, you know, he's like, hey, man, you run all this. Yeah. I mean, do I owe you money? Did I sleep with your woman or something? Allegedly. He started laughing. No, brother. He just tell me how he was thankful for my station, for We All Be TV, or putting him on the Bobby D. Gregory. This is a young brother with a family. And you just don't know who you reaching when you're doing the things that you do. I had no idea that this guy was influenced by some of the stuff I was putting out there on my channel. But not only was he thankful for Dick Gregory and all that stuff, but he was thankful for me sharing my own insight on things. Because a lot of times people, they come to the channel, like I have a Judge Joe Brown on, they want me to shut up. Like, you know, it's my channel though, with Judge, I'm judging the house and let the judge speak. I said, sometimes you got to interrupt the judge, because if you don't, you won't be able to speak, because judge love to speak. And I love the judge, but judge ain't gonna give you no time. Once he inhabits space, his aura, it encapsulates everything. So you got to make space for you. So, you know, I take the criticism of people, but to hear when people say, well, I appreciate not only who you bring, but what you bring, it means a lot to me. It keeps me going, because a lot of times, like, man, to hell with it. I don't want to keep on doing this. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing the podcast now since 2007. So I really was at the forefront. Like I said, I interviewed the Gen 6 players before a lot of media outlets in America got a hold of the Gen 6 movement. But to hear brother like John the Great, I'm glad you identify yourself. I'm gonna post about this. I encounter, and I'm thankful for your wonderful, beautiful daughter for taking the picture. Because these sisters, these women and girls, they know how to do the angles. Like my sister says, all about the angles when you taking selfies and stuff. But it was an honor to meet you, man. And you don't know what that meant to me that night, because I be having doubts about continuing what I do. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have the energy. I see what people are doing in these YouTube streets. I don't have the energy to tear down black people. I don't have that type of energy. It wears you down, man, to tear down your people. And like, a lot of times, like I said, I'm doing solos. Like my mom helped me. Shout out to Sister Callie Hurd. Now she's Dr. Callie Hurd. My mom just passed a doctorate exam. Now she's Dr. Callie Hurd, and rightfully so. She's a beautiful woman. So this is the woman you got to thank for allowing me to be who I am, because she invested in me early. She saw that I was gifted in art, so she made sure I took creative art programs in public school. She knew I had speaking problems, so she made sure I had a speech therapist. My early years in school, my mom always looked out for me, and now she's getting her flowers now while she could smell them. So shout out to Dr. Callie Hurd. She became a doctor today. She passed her exams and everything. I mean, it was a 10-year journey, but change going to come. Oh, yes, it will. It's already came. So thank you, John the Great. I'm going to make a post about this in social media. Send me your social media handles and stuff. I can tag you in it, but thank you so much for reminding me, because you've been on my mind as well, brother. So you actually listen to the show, but I just don't know, man. I didn't know I had this type of impact doing what I'm doing. And people say, oh, you got to know. I don't know, because first of all, YouTube don't show my real numbers. It's like, it's weird to me that I go out in Maryland or in New York. I went to a Shahrazad Ali thing in Brooklyn back in 2016, and people knew who I was. I said, y'all know? Yeah, you Brother Ron. Yeah, son, we know who you are. I said, wow, they taking selfies with me. I said, y'all know who I am? I'm not Dick Gregory or nobody. I'm not, Judge Joe Brown. I'm not Shahrazad Ali. Yeah, we love you, Brother Ron. I mean, when I was in Dick Gregory's homegoing in Maryland, and brothers from New York was shouting me out. We love you up in Harlem, man. Come up to Harlem. A prophet is always without honor in his hometown among his family and friends. I don't get that type of love in Memphis. Man, I be doing work in the community. They won't even support the work that we do. I can't get a grant from the city. We apply for grants. We're a 501c3 that We All Be Group Incorporated. They don't support what we do. I don't get no love like that. Y'all think I get a lot of love. I don't get no love in my hometown at all. And we're doing all this work, and then people like eating off of and stuff. And it's not about that. It's just like I have a passion for serving and loving our people. And it's a cost to pay on your peace of mind and also your well-being a lot of times when you do that. So I just rambling on, but thank you, John the Great, for tuning in and reminding me. Well, Dominique, always blessing to hear from you, brother. Thank you for your donation. I mean, we repeating the same stuff over and over again. We're not learning from the past. That's why it's important to study the past. And unfortunately, the way things are going, it is going to be going on. But it could change. Nothing is never too late. I don't believe. That's why information is important. Thank you so much, brother, for tuning in. We love you madly. But let me get the be running my mouth. I'm all over the place, but let me get the Black Wall Street. But let me say this as well. This is my boot. Big ass. I'm on size 14, if you're curious. It's a big ass boot. It's about been wearing for several weeks now. My boot. I'll be wearing this up in New York. Tracking down people for Dick Gregory, covering his movie premiere. And the reason why I show this because where's number one? Take care of yourself. Self-preservation is the number one rule of nature. Now, what I did, never do a do-it-yourself, busting of a blister on your foot. That's what I did. I did that several months ago. But I caught myself just doing it myself. I bust this blister on the bottom of my left foot, below my big toe. And then like 3 months later, I noticed, hey, it haven't healed yet. Because what I was doing, I was going to the gym, running about 6 miles a day, 3 or 4 times a week. Maybe I was running 6 miles a day, 3 to 4 times a week on my feet. And like when I would run on treadmill, I would pound my feet. So it'll be looking like hamburger helper meat at the end of my sessions. And I'm thinking, oh, it'd be cool. I'm put some Neosporin on, and it was healing. But I kept on re-injuring my foot as a dummy. And I ran over it and kept on running. And I stopped, maybe I need to stop running on my foot so it can heal, because it was healing, but it got infected. And so by my birthday weekend, I'm getting kind of concerned. I'm saying it's been about 3 months and it still haven't healed. And it's like it's swole up and red and infected. And I'm saying, oh, maybe I got this going on. I think, man, I might have to get my big toe cut off. So after my mom prayed over my big toe, my left foot, I went to the urgent care as soon as I got back from my trip, my birthday weekend trip to Mississippi, to Natchez, Mississippi. And I'll show some of those clips in future broadcasts. I got a lot of work to share with y'all. So the healing process began. I got some antibiotics, whatever you call it. So I took that for 10 days, and I went to the wound care specialist. And they like, man, they like they're gonna read my last rites or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God, they don't hurt. And the crazy, it wasn't really hurting me. Yeah, it was like, it looked like Emmett Till's face. That face after he got pulled out the Tallahatchie River. It was that's horrible to look at. I won't share it on my platforms, but the folks that I shared it with, they had to delete it right away. They couldn't. It just bothered them to look at my foot, and it said it didn't hurt you because basically I had a hole in my foot. I just ran on it so much, it created a hole in my bottom of my left foot. And so, but I would start taking the antibiotics, and my wound care specialist, shout out to Dr. Delk. See, this, I'm telling you, like, the ancestors told me, y'all think this is a joke. This ain't no joke. I don't go to no church or nothing like that. It's about spirituality. It's about being connected and knowing who you are, being rooted in yourself and knowing who you are, and developing your instincts and trusting your intuition and knowledge of self. So my pain or my problem led me to this Dr. Delk, who was actually a student of one of my Jegnas who passed away 6 years ago. The late, great Mr. Emerson Abel Jr., arguably the greatest high school band director the city of Memphis ever produced. He actually was the brain behind the creation of what is now known as the Southern Heritage Classic. That's an HBCU big event that happens in September annually. Like the last 2 years, they haven't had it because of bad weather. Then the COVID thing happened. But this year, they have it every year with Tennessee State University from Nashville versus Jackson State University from Mississippi. They're going to have it this year because why? First of all, you got Deion Sanders, Mr. Primetime, going to be on the sidelines for Jackson State as their head coach. And I love with Primetime with Deion Sanders. He's amazing to me. What he's doing for the HBCUs by being at the HBCU. Because there was no football players drafted from any HBCUs this year. And that's horrible. Because think about the greatest football players, actually, a lot of the greatest football players of all time came from HBCUs. Not only they come from HBCUs, but they came from HBCUs in Mississippi. Jerry Rice, arguably the greatest wide receiver of all time. Really the greatest wide receiver of all time by the numbers and by the championships. He went to Mississippi Valley State. Walter Payton, one of the greatest running backs of all time. He went to Jackson State. Steve McNair, who I think, if you're going to put Joe Namath in the Hall of Fame, Eric McNair should be in the Hall of Fame. He went to Alcorn State University down in Mississippi as well. And Alcorn State also produced the late, great Medgar Wiley Evers. He played football for Alcorn State, who anniversary of his death was June the 12th. And his birthday, July the 2nd. He's a Cancer like Judge Joe Brown, who was born July the 5th. Medgar was born July the 2nd, 1925. He got assassinated in front of his family June 12th, 1963, at the age of 37. And he was a graduate of Alcorn State University. He also played football there like Eric McNair. But you see, I just named you, I know 2 GOATs and one borderline Hall of Fame player, and Steve McNair. They came from HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, all of them located in Mississippi. So for them not to have one Black player drafted from an HBCU is despicable. And shout outs to Master P, Dr. Percy Miller. He got his doctorate from Lincoln University, which I believe was the first HBCU in America, in Pennsylvania. Dr. Percy Miller sent his son, one of the top basketball players in the country, to Tennessee State University. Black men, Black masculinity. Deion is a Black man. Now I couldn't feel him on when he did his tribute to his mentor. Was the Eddie Long? He was at Eddie Long Church. He said Eddie Long taught me how to be a man. I didn't know Bishop Eddie Long. When I first heard Bishop Eddie Long, I thought he was very gifted, a gifted communicator. But Deion did his eulogy of Bishop Edson. But all that aside, Dion is really representing black masculinity at its finest. Like Dr. Miller, Percy Miller, Master P, representing black masculinity right now. This is what we need to wake up the consciousness of black people right now in general. Kwame Brown, black masculinity. We need black men to choose to be men. It's not just our black women. See, we put all this on black women. Now we need black males to choose to be men right now. That is what's needed. These black towns were not founded by black women. No disrespect to black women. But these black towns were not founded by black women. They were founded by black men. Mound Bayou, Greenwood, all these black towns in Oklahoma, founded by black men. Now, black men created the atmosphere, the space for black women to excel. Yes, you have the beautiful ancestor, Lula Williams, who owned the Dreamland Theater, brilliant entrepreneur, educator extraordinaire. But the black man had to create the space for her to manifest her Dreamland Theater. See, them black women back then knew the value of strong black men. And I love Judge Joe Brown, but y'all, it's more than one narrative on Tulsa. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And I've been running my mouth. I don't know if I'm hitting all my points. I want to do a Tupac show. I might have to do that before I hit the road tomorrow. Because Tupac's birthday is June the 16th. Would have been 50. Now, isn't it interesting that DMX died at 50? And then people often compare DMX with Darkman X with Tupac. Tupac would have been 50 this year, and DMX dies at 50. And I'm going to do that I'm not going to do it tonight. But sometimes I'll be struggling. Like I said, I don't have the energy to tear down black people on these platforms. It's very toxic to be black on these platforms, so-called black. And I'm going to tell you something. The more I look at Charlie Wilson from the Gap Band, who's from Greenwood, he looks more Native American than he does African. Look at Charlie Wilson, like them Gap Band photos from back in the day. Charlie Wilson got them, the way his bones. I'm not into all that. Look, African, Native American, so-called black people are indigenous to this planet. Those are arguments I'm not going to have with black people. We can agree to disagree on certain things, but there's some things we need to agree upon in terms of reparations and self-determination to get where we need to go. I'm not interested. You can name and claim it. If you want to be Native American, be you. White folks call themselves Indians, and they're not, the Dawson rolls. Was it Dawson, not Dawes Act or Dawes roll? That's about $5 Indian. Donald Trump talked about that a couple of years ago. How the folks who own these casinos look like they Indians to him. He talked about Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. She claimed native status. There's some truth. Black folks were already here. If you in doubt, read Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. They came before Columbus. Black folks was already everywhere. We the indigenous people, so-called black people. And people say, Ron, it was not called Black Wall Street. It was called Negro Wall Street. Well, Negro is black in Spanish. It is what it is. Booker T. Washington said it was Negro Wall Street. Well, Negro is black in Spanish. Okay, so, but what do you know who you are, though? At the end of the day, it's not what they call you, it's what you call yourself at the end of the day that needs to be respected, by you included. Thank you, Brother Rashawn. We love you madly. I got a lot of more shows left of me. Sometimes I just want to quit, though. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It's amazing when I get on these platforms. I don't know how to leave. I said I don't want to do a show. Then 3 hours later, I'm still doing the show. I don't know what that's about. But thank y'all for receiving him. I mean, Baba Dick Gregory knew the value of this technology. That's why he didn't turn out an interview. That's why he was a real elder, because he made himself accessible. Baba Dick Gregory, truth be told, our people got to understand, like with Judge Joe Brown, these folks look at themselves as being public servants. You know what I'm saying? Baba Dick Gregory never took his phone number out the phone book. It was listed even when he died. His cell phone was listed in the white pages online if you knew how to find it. But he told me to post his contact information to the people. And I remember back in August of 2016 when he went viral, talking about Dr. Sebi and other things on my platform. His wife called me when I was in Kansas City. She said, Ron, are you the one that's causing all these calls and facts to come in? Stop sharing his phone number. Stop sharing. I said, I don't think it's me. It wasn't me. Like Shaggy. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was the one who was sharing Baba Dick Gregory's contact information at the end of the videos. He told me to do that. That's why he knew that what I was doing was being very effective, because there's a lot of people that got a chance to connect with Baba Dick Gregory on their shows. They brought him to speak because of the information I would share in my videos. Now, let's show you how selfless I was. Maybe I was stupid. Maybe I should have said, no, I'm not going to share his contact information and everybody got to go through me. You know, I didn't really get to eat off of Baba Dick Gregory like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of folks who benefited from me sharing his contact information. They got to eat. They eating still. I'm not eating like that. Like I said, I'm not eating like that. I just now got a new car, a new to me car, you know, and I'm about to go on the road, you know, and people assume I met a person. I thought you was flying when you met Baba Dick. I mean, I was driving everywhere. Baba Dick Gregory talked about it in that viral interview we did in his hotel room that I waited like 12 or 13 hours for him to come back to New York to do. And it's a genuine smile I have. I really love serving our people, man. This is not fake with me. And I'm not the best at always returning phone calls and text messages and all that stuff, but I hope that what I do can still be a service, man. I got a lot going on. I don't look my worries and struggles and stuff, and that's a blessing. So you got to, man, because like I said, with Baba Dick, people don't understand what he actually been through, man. He was a soldier. A soldier. He lost his best friends before they turned 40. He lived to be twice their age. You know, Malcolm died at 39, Dr. King died at 39, Mega died at 37. Mega really was the guy who got him into the movement. Mega just was a special cat because you don't see too many speeches with Mega Evers, like talking. But you think about Lena Horne was like transfixed. I mean, she was in a trance with Mega Evers. There's a picture of Lena Horne just sitting on top of his lap or something like that. You could tell she just like had this thing for Mega. Like, I'm not saying nothing happened, but I'm saying Mega was like he just had a sway over people. Like Baba Dick gave up his lucrative career. He was willing to die in Mississippi with Mega Evers. That's how strong he believed in the cause. And because Mega was just a guy who was able to get people to buy into what he was doing. So, you know, in hindsight, as I get older and wiser and I'm healing, it is what it is. I took one for the team. And we got to learn how to respect our people. When you respect your elders, your true elders, you respect yourself. That's, you know, respect of elders start with self-respect. So when I was growing up, the reason why I'm able to know about Emmett Till was talking to not talking, but rather listening to my elders from Mississippi tell me about how it was for them to grow up in Mississippi. And they talked about Emmett Till. I didn't learn that in no school. I learned that in home in the village. That's why we got to get back to that village concept. Yeah, they do sabotage views and likes. I'm just reading through. Yeah, great sister. You know, thank you for hooking me with that brother. He responded to me. I got to respond back. He actually brought me to speak before his middle school class back in 2006. It's like an art workshop. So the guy at the radio station he told me about, I'm gonna get back with him. I haven't reached back out like I should have. He followed back with me. I just had a lot on my mind. And your relative sister Annie Yates came and blessed our Jimmie Lunceford celebration that you missed, but that's online. Oh yeah, the video about Dick talking about the mask. Okay, let me play that right now. I've been running my mouth. Oh God, neighbors be complaining. And I don't know who they are. I go down to the office and oh, you good, everything. And I get a note on my door to my, you know, if you open up your door and you got dishes and a dishwasher going on and you walking around, I say I'm a person, man. I ain't no Casper the ghost. I'm gonna make sounds, I guess. I don't mean no harm. Like they like I'm having like some type of party or something, like an orgy or something like up here. And I don't bring nobody home. Like a monk. But anyway, let me show that video. And you are rocking We All Be. News Street Dixie for the 21st century. I got so many windows open. It's somewhere here. Okay. Make sure I share audio because this Mercury retrograde is real. I be telling y'all this Mercury retrograde no joke. Oh, Brother Ron just talking crazy. No, it's real. Let me turn off my mic and make sure everything plays. Man, shut it down.
I heard some people yesterday on the radio 2 days ago talking about they're going to open up a business. Open up a business to the money business. See, we keep talking about stuff and we don't factor in racism and white supremacy because we are ashamed to admit what people did to us. Mm. We're ashamed to admit that the reason I don't look as beautiful as I always had when God put me here is because the rape of my woman. Mm-hmm. And I kept losing my trait and my beauty and crossbreeding. And any time you see a light-complected Negro, it wasn't because we was raping the slave man's daughter. He was raping my mama and my daughters. And so all at once that gorgeous blackness that I had from God gets watered down and watered down. You know, like you ever put a newspaper in a window and the sunshine on it, it turns brown?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's what we're doing. That's what something else have intersected with me. Huh? And so what I'm saying is that when you stop and look, then Yahweh, when y'all remember the brother down in Florida?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Do you know he and his followers built up enough money, they owned $1 billion worth of property in Florida. Did you know that?
No, sir.
And then they put him in jail. And you think you gonna open up something in this country? Huh? No, Black Wall Street in Oklahoma?
Yes, sir.
Them black folks had hooked up with some Jews and some Indians and black folks, put their own company together. One black brother was making $100,000 a week royalties. And then the rednecks came and said, understand, y'all got the oil and stuff. We'd like to be part of it. And they said, you can't. And Monday, them crop dusters came in with dynamite and tried to blow them off the planet. Okay? And so when I hear black folks talking about what we got to do, we don't manufacture nothing. Well, look, if General Motors and the big time white boys who make trillions of dollars, if they stop manufacturing it, why you won't start? Huh?
And that was me with Bobby D. Gregory back in May of 2013. He came on my Blog Talk radio show, and he talked about Black Wall Street. So there's information that people don't really understand, because I talked to the elders before I went to Tulsa back in May. The elders knew that those planes that were bombing black folks came from black people. You know, people were saying, well, you know, it was one. You had black folks in Tulsa that owned. You had 6 airplanes owned by black people in Tulsa back in 1921. So black folks own 6 airplanes. So them airplanes people saw dropping bombs, they probably were stolen from the black people by the white people. And that's what they did, you know. And Dick Gregory just knew what he knew. Like he always would say, my truth does not need to be validated by your ignorance. But I was saying about my foot, the wound care specialist, I don't think I finished my thought on that. He was under the, you know, he was in high school. He was in the band at Manassas High School. His teacher was Mr. Emerson Abel Jr., one of my Jegnas. I don't say mentor, I say Jegna. Mentor means another thing originally, so I don't want to go that route. So Jegna is a better term for me. But like I said, these folks looking out from beyond the grave from me. Like the righteous ancestors told me, Brother Ron, if you do the work and tell our stories and help us get our glory, we'll help you get some shine too. So they've been looking out for me and taking care of me. And Dr. Delk was a hell of a clarinetist, according to his peers, like people that I work with. They say, well, Dr. Delk was a phenomenal clarinetist while he was under the tutelage of Mr. Abel. And I told Dr. Delk that today, and he just laughing. Oh man, they just talking stuff, man. They don't know. I said, no, you were great. And everybody know that Mr. Anderson Abel Jr. created the Southern Heritage Classic. Yet he's not getting a dime off of that. His family did not get royalties. They do not get royalties off of that. That thing makes a lot of money for the city and for those colleges. And Mr. Abel was to connect between Tennessee State. He was an alum of Tennessee State. And also he was a well-respected, not only high school band director, but he also was a college band director. Now, Mr. Anderson Abel Jr. was the guy who kicked Isaac Hayes out of the high school band at Manassas, but ended up working for Isaac Hayes at Stax. He helped Isaac Hayes write Shaft and arrange and stuff like that. Isaac Hayes could not read music, but Isaac Hayes was gifted. He had a perfect pitch. And all the musicians, who was accomplished, they always spoke well of Isaac Hayes. His writing partner in crime was David Porter. And I met David Porter. David Porter was close to Maurice White, who was the architect and founder of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Maurice White is from Memphis, Tennessee. He went to Booker T. Washington High School, not that far away from where I'm doing my podcast. But Black Wall Street means a lot to me. Where I'm doing my podcast right now, I'm right across the street where the Memphis Race Massacre started back in 1866, where the white Irish cops they helped ignite a riot or a race massacre that burned down the schools and churches in Memphis and raped, pillaged, and killed a whole bunch of black people. So then I'm not there, and right across the street, that's where I'm at. And also not that far from where the epicenter is located for the Memphis Race Massacre 1866 is where they shot Dr. King in the face. So I'm right in the middle of that. And you go up a little bit, is Bill Street, where they're going to unveil an Ida B. Wells statue on her birthday, July the 16th. Ida B. Wells had her own newspaper, the Free Speech and Headlight on Bill Street. It was, I think, headquartered in the basement Bill Street First Baptist Church, which still stands. So they're going to have that statue right there at that corner of Bill Street and at that church in front of Church Park. I'm going to be there. If I'm alive, I'm going to be there to cover that historic event because he's my Black History dream girl. So this history is deep because the Memphis Race Massacre led to the Reconstruction era because Congress came down here, interviewed the survivors and witnesses, and that compelled Congress to create the Reconstruction Act. And Robert Church Sr., the so-called first Black millionaire of the South, who saved the city's charter after the yellow fever epidemic, who's from Ida B. Wells' hometown of Holly Springs, Mississippi, he testified before Congress because they came into his saloon and shot him in the head point blank, and he survived. And like over 10 years later, he ended up saving Memphis. And also he was an investor in Black Wall Street, from my understanding, in Greenwood. Because like it's a unique connection between Tulsa and Memphis. Like I said, one of the founders, O.W. Gurley, he's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, which is not that far from Memphis. He founded Black Wall Street back in 1905 with his partner. And he was a grocer. And the name of his grocery business was the People's Grocery Store. And we had a People's Grocery Store in Memphis back in 1892. Talk about the People Grocery lynchings, or the lynching at the curve that happened on March 9th, 1892. Ida B. Wells' best friend, Thomas Moss, was a well-respected Black leader, and he was an owner of the People's Grocery Store. Memphis at that time had the country's 5th largest wholesale grocery market. Memphis is the distribution hub of America, not only like in business, but also in culture. Everything goes through Memphis. Like I said, Memphis has the world's 2nd largest cargo airport. We used to have the world's largest cargo airport for years. Now we're 2nd behind Hong Kong. That's how important Memphis is to the economy of this country. By them shutting down that Hernando the Soto Bridge, the I-40 bridge, it's costing folks millions and millions and possibly billions of dollars. That's how vital Memphis is to the commerce and the economics of this country. But even back then, Thomas Miles was lynched with his business partners, Calvin McDowell and William Henry Stewart, near the railroad tracks uptown, with his north Memphis. And his last words, and he told him, "Look, I got a child on the way." He had a young family. Ida B. Wells was the godmother to his daughter. He said, "Can you spare my life?" And the white folks said, "No, we're gonna kill you like your business partners." They said it in different words, and know that the white media was there covering it. Nobody was there to stop it. They was just there. They were there just to cover it. The white press. And his last words were, "Tell my people to go west because they can't get no justice here." And so they mutilated him. They not only killed him, they lynched him. They destroyed his good-looking face. They did him Emmett Till before Emmett Till was even born, let alone his parents were born. You know what I'm saying? They Emmett Till Thomas Moss. So Ida B. Wells was so hurt by what happened to her friend, and she published his last words in her newspaper. So she encouraged black folks to leave Memphis. 6,000 black folks left Memphis. A lot of them went to Oklahoma. And so you have in 1905, O.W. Gurley buy the land that become known as Greenwood, that become Christian Negro Wall Street, Black Wall Street. And he was a grocer whose grocery business was also named the People's Grocery Store. So they got to be connected. But let me bring it home. How important this stuff is to talk about our history. And thank you, Sister Butter Love. I look forward to getting that selfie with you. to live and love in L.A. To live and love in L.A. It's the place to be. So I look forward to seeing you. You are a wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous woman, brilliant mind, and a true supporter of this of this cause. We love you madly. And let me share with y'all, because I'm trying to keep it under 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. And I'm thinking about doing a Tupac show tomorrow. Thank y'all for being patient. Like I said, I'm on the share because a lot of people ain't using their platforms to educate our people. They use it for beefs. And they try to tear down other black folks. I'm not going to be in that business of tearing down my people. I don't like it. Even when we don't agree, we can agree to disagree. But let me make sure. This picture here of a brother named Dr. A.C. Jackson. Dr. A.C. Jackson was one of the greatest surgeons in the country at the time of his death during the Tulsa race massacre. He was considered the top surgeon, the top black surgeon, or the top colored surgeon, or the top Negro surgeon, top whatever in the country. You know, the Mayo brothers. Y'all know who the Mayo brothers are? Not the Mayonnaise brothers, but the Mayo brothers who started the famous Mayo Clinic that still exists today. They say he was the greatest Negro surgeon in the country. Like he was like the LeBron James or Michael Jordan and Willie Mays of surgery. He was brilliant. Really, he probably was the greatest surgeon, period. But because he was so-called colored or Negro or black, they say he was the best of his race. And that didn't even save his life when he was shot down like a dog by white people. Now, I heard stories that said Dr. A.C. Jackson took some with him from a survivor. So, you know, it's like so many narratives. So we got to stop this one narrative, this one pony show. Like, what made Tulsa different from the other race massacres is that they actually came back stronger. You know, Black Wall Street actually came back stronger than it was in 1921. That's what they don't talk about. The race massacre did not destroy Black Wall Street. Now, you got to keep in mind, nobody got one red cent from the insurance companies. The black folks who were terrorized and lost their lives and property. Nobody got one red dime, red cent or anything from the insurance companies. The insurance company paid out the white people who had guns and bullets that were used in the riots. And it's all about the language. Words create worlds. So they call it a riot, meaning that they blame the black folks for the loss of life and property. So that's what the insurance companies use to justify not paying. You got to understand that a lot of these white people were deputized by law enforcement. Most of your major race massacres and riots are started by police misconduct or by law enforcement. Like I said, the Memphis race massacre was started by Irish police officers who couldn't stand the U.S. colored troops that were stationed nearby in Fort Pickering. You had black men with guns and pride. That's a dangerous thing for America. black masculinity has always been a threat to America. So you got these black men with their chest walking out, they're puffed out and they back straight and they got their guns and they not taking crap out of any white person. They just won the Civil War and all this stuff. So you had this type of tension. So for all your major race riots and massacres are started by police misconduct or misbehavior, stuff like that. So y'all, I just want y'all to know that. Keep that in mind when you think about whether it be Mike Brown or Watts or Rodney King or anything started by. But let's talk about Dr. A.C. Jackson a little bit. Read some background on Dr. A.C. Jackson. I hope I ain't too loud. They complain about me being loud. But and that's another thing. And may I add that he was born in Memphis back in 1879. He's not from Oklahoma. He was from Memphis. So Dr. A.C. Jackson was from Memphis. That's another connection to Black Wall Street, the Memphis Black Wall Street connection. See, where y'all gonna learn this stuff at? I'm just pulling stuff out here because there's so many stories, man. This is amazing. But these white folks didn't give a damn. They said, oh, we don't care. You the greatest surgeon of your race. Like you were saving lives. We're gonna take your life. This man was like, you even think about the A.L.L. race massacre. You had the Johnson brothers that were killed in A.L.L., Arkansas. We lost allegedly 1,000 black folks in A.L.L. They dumped a lot of black folks in the Mississippi River. I went to A.L.L. That thing is a ghost town. I went to A.L., Arkansas last month. I'm gonna share. I have done so much stuff. I just get overwhelmed. I don't know why. Why am I giving all this information to share? And it's hard for me to share because I got my own little personal thing going on. But you killed 1,000 black people because they wanted to unionize against being exploited by white people. The reason why A.L. race massacre happened was because black folks were trying to form a sharecroppers union. They were tired of being taken advantage of by the white business people. And the white folks shot up a church that they had a meeting at. And black folks shot back in self-defense. And that's what started the A.L. race massacre. We had the National Guard allegedly coming into A.L., just killing everything black. Like black folks was they thought the National Guard was coming to help them. And they was running up to the National Guard. They didn't care if you was a man, woman, or child. They was shooting people, allegedly. And a lot of the bodies were dumped in mass graves and thrown into the Mississippi River. Just like with Tulsa, a lot of the black bodies went missing. They got mass graves allegedly around the city. Oakland definitely has a mass grave of black people from the race massacre. But from my understanding, many black bodies were dumped into the Arkansas River. And the Arkansas River is known for having quicksand. So a lot of those bodies have been lost to time. You ain't gonna never recover that body. As they said, nobody, no crime, right? Nobody, no crime. Nobody. Okay. So, and also I heard a story where a survivor, Dr. Olivia Hooks, I think her name was, she's an ancestor now. She claimed that a lot of the black men killed a lot of white people in self-defense. And that the white people were ashamed to admit that the black men, these were World War I veterans. They came home from the war, the Great War. They were very skilled, sharpshooters, crack shots. They killed so many white folks that the white folks dumped all the white people in the Arkansas River as well. A lot of white folks were dumped into the Arkansas River to cover up the fact that the black men killed so many of them. See, that's why we got to be careful how we tell these stories, because there's so many different stories to the story. There's no one official story when it comes to these narratives. That's why it's so important to look at these narratives, especially from the survivors, not just the ones they showed in Congress, but the people. You got all these documentaries out where people were able to record the perspectives of the survivors, not just little kids, but you have business owners who lost property and even lost lives of loved ones who were recorded for posterity. So why I say all this to say black folks always fought back, because even with Thomas Moss and his business partner Calvin McDowell and William Henry Stewart getting lynched in Memphis, they was a part of a rifle club that tried to protect their grocery store, because the white business owners across the street, he was envious of the fact that they were so successful economically. And you got to understand, most of your lynching victims, as it relates to so-called black people, were business owners. So these three black men were lynched for being successful business owners. And Dr. A.C. Jackson was killed for being successful black men. Like, his success transcends race. Like I said, the Mayo brothers. Look up the Mayo brothers. You got the Mayo Clinic, the world famous Mayo Clinic up in Minnesota. They said that he was the greatest surgeon of his race. He was in a class by himself. He was so gifted with his hands. Born in Memphis back in 1879, Dr. A.C. Jackson. But let me read something about Dr. A.C. Jackson. And I'm gonna read a couple of things about him, and you make your choice. Hands of peace. Prominent professionals like Dr. Andrew Chesting Jackson transcended, if only temporarily, the color line. Dr. Jackson, christened the most able Negro surgeon in America by the Mayo brothers of Mayo Clinic fame, treated patients of all races. So he didn't discriminate when it came, because he believed in the Hippocratic oath. But a lot of these so-called doctors don't. Allegedly, most prominent Tulsan killed in the riot was Dr. Jackson, a 42-year-old surgeon living at 523 North Detroit Avenue, according to Jackson's white neighbor, former police commissioner and retired Judge John Oliphant. Dr. Jackson had raised his hands to surrender to a group of whites when two of them shot Dr. Jackson dead in what Oliphant called cold-blooded murder. He was born to Captain Townsend D. Jackson and his mother, Sophronia, in Memphis, Tennessee, in February of 1879. Dr. Jackson was the youngest of three children. Both of his parents were former slaves, with Sophronia being from Texas, Townsend from Georgia. The couple met and married in Memphis a few short years before their daughter, Minnie Mae, was born in 1875. Dr. Jackson graduated from Meharry Medical College in Nashville, practiced for a while in Tulsa and Claremore, Oklahoma, then trained as a surgeon in, guess where, y'all? Memphis, Tennessee. His work was such that he attracted the attention of the Mayo brothers, and in 1919, he returned to Tulsa as a specialist in chronic diseases and surgery for women. So he loved Black women. He wasn't like the other guy, the father of gynecology, J. Marion Sims, who destroyed Black wombs and Black women with no anesthesia. Dr. Jackson lived on what was one of the most exclusive blocks in all of Greenwood. His neighbors included Booker T. Washington High School principal E.W. Woods. I believe E.W. Woods was from Holly Springs, Mississippi, like Ida B. Wells. I think he walked 500 miles to Tulsa to become an educator. I believe that E.W. Woods from Tulsa, who was originally from Holly Springs, Mississippi. I'm just doing some recall from what I've been researching. Then Tulsa Star publisher and lawyer A.J. Smitherman and physician R.T. Bridgewater. So he was a part of the Black elite. Well, the boys were labeled the talented 10th. But the thing about the talented 10th, back then they lived in the community. But we think about the talented 10th now, you think about the head separated from the body. See, when we was segregated in Jim Crow land, you had the talented 10th in the community. See, it's so deep, y'all, because we get the talented 10th thing, we get it wrong. And Du Bois was not wrong about the talented 10th in terms of having the elite help lead the race. But the problem was integration came in the end of Jim Crow. So you separate the head from the body. Okay. That's another story, but Dr. Jackson created some of the most innovative surgical tools that are still being used today, post modifications and surgical and technological advancements. Surgical students the world over have been influenced by this great surgeon's contribution to the medical community. Like this, Dr. Jackson should be as well known as George Washington Carver. They still using the tools he created them years ago in the classroom and in medical schools and in surgery room. So why is he not known? This man was nationally recognized by the Mayo brothers of the Mayo Clinic as being the greatest. So why don't we know about Dr. A.C. Jackson today? Why Dr. Jackson, one of the gentlest of men, will have been singled out is not known. Perhaps he was mistaken for the more outspoken Smitherman or Bridgewater. Perhaps he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The riot had all but died down, Oliphant said, when Dr. Jackson came walking toward me with his hands in the air. Here I am. I want to go with you. Now, this is his neighbor who was very prominent, right? Oliphant. He said, a body of about 7 men, all armed, intercepted him, and 2 young fellows fired on him. He fell to the ground, and one of the men fired again. Others detailed that Dr. Jackson died tragically in the 1921 Tulsa race riot, aka the Holocaust, the worst of the so-called race riots in earlier early 20th century America, gunned down by a white 14-year-old teenager while surrendering at his residence. Dr. Jackson, lacking medical attention, bled to death. Dr. Jackson's killers were never identified. They were known, but they were never identified. Even his so-called good neighbor, like a good neighbor, he let you bleed out. Okay, Dr. Oliphant, he knew that Dr. Jackson was a great man. He didn't care. He knew the killers. He knew who the killers were, but he did not identify the killers. So it wasn't that they were unknown. They were just not properly, dealt with. But everybody knew who they were. So this is sad. I heard one story. One of the survivors said Dr. A.C. Jackson was actually shooting out with the white people before he died, that he was a crack shot. I don't know what to believe. But I do know that he died, this prominent physician who treated all races. He didn't discriminate. He believed in his Hippocratic oath. He treated everybody, did not discriminate. And yet he lost his life senseless. And I was saying about the Lane race massacre. You had these brothers called the Johnston brothers. They was on a hunting trip. They were black men. What made the Johnson brothers unique, that these was a family full of doctors and dentists. These were professional medical people who were very successful. They were nationally known among black elite circles, and the white folks down in Lane killed them anyway. They lynched the Johnston brothers. They were just like Dr. A.C. Jackson. You were prominent professional man of color who were medical people. They were lynched just for being black. What did I do to be so black and blue? Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah. So we got to tell these stories, man. And let me read one more thing as it relates to Dr. AC, if I can find it. Oh, man. I don't know, man. But Dick Gregory was brilliant. Like he broke down the Black Wall Street thing in less than 3 minutes. Like Malcolm said, make it plain. Trying to see. Yeah, the AC Jackson thing is disturbing. And Oprah did a shout out to OWN Network. You gotta check out the 2-part series on Tulsa they did. That's available on OWN's network YouTube channel. It's worth watching, y'all. It's amazing. And see if I can find it. I can't find it right now. But I want to show y'all. Keep this. Hope I keep this on 3 hours. I'm not gonna talk about Tupac right now. I'm talking about that. If I do a show on Tupac, it'll be tomorrow. Cause these neighbors be tripping me out. Oh, he's so noisy. Noisy. That's how they get you out of here. If I was talking about some bullshit, if I was screwing people and having orgies, there'd be no problem. But since I'm talking about knowledge, it's a problem that I talk loud. And even though it's an artist place, people ain't really artists like that. They just here getting some subsidized housing. No disrespect. I'm trying to find that. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna go back. It's so much stuff here, man. It is so much to unpack, man. Our people are so. We think we're at a disadvantage, but we're not. We just got to do this research, and sometimes we got to shut up. We talk too much about stuff. Sometimes it's a time for study. So I say, like, okay, his next door neighbor was former police commissioner and retired judge John Oliphant, reported that Jackson was fatally shot in 1921 during the Tulsa race massacre when he came walking toward me with his hands in the air saying, "Here I am. I want to go with you." He thought this was his friend because they lived next door. Because, I thought they were segregated, but his next door neighbor was this guy who was a retired police commissioner and judge, right? A mob of about 7 armed men intercepted him, and 2 of them shot him. One of the men shot him after he had fallen to the ground. Jackson was 40 years old when he was killed. His killers were never identified. Now, they say he was 40. This is Wikipedia, but some sources say 42. Now, he was born in 1879. You do the math. How old was his brother? You know, but also it's a Washington Post article from 1982. I'm gonna read a little bit of that later on. I'm just going around. Okay, this Washington Post article, they said an elderly black couple on their way home from church were murdered. Dr. A.C. Jackson, cited by the Mayo brothers as the most able Negro surgeon in America, was killed by whites after he had surrendered to them for protection. A white man mistaken for a black was killed. An incoming passenger train was caught in a crossfire. This is why they fear black masculinity. I'm reading a little bit for this Washington Post article from 1982. Stuff is crazy, man. It said when the National Guard arrived, it deputized dozens of white men and women now. You understand, white women were the ones that were responsible for the popularity of lynching. White women called for the lynching of black men across America. Then it was the white women that created these Confederate statues and monuments. It wasn't the white men. The white women got the power. Y'all keep on thinking it's the white men, but the white man wouldn't even let his mama vote until 1920. But white women were the one that raised all this money for these Confederate monuments, even ones in Memphis, like the Nathan Bedford Forrest equestrian statue that's been taken down. Now they removed his body from the Health Sciences Park, formerly known as Nathan Bedford Forrest Park, and about to have a Juneteenth celebration this weekend. Black folks crazy as hell. But anyway, when the National Guard arrived, it deputized dozens of white men and women who proceeded to go door to door in black neighborhoods where there was no fighting. They arrested the occupants and escorted them to one of the 3 internment camps. After the blacks left their homes, they were looted and burned. One elderly black woman who refused to move was left alone. Her home was one of the few not destroyed. The Red Cross later reported 1,115 homes destroyed, 314 other homes looted. The Red Cross, okay. Bill Williams' father defended his movie theater until the buildings around it were set on fire. He slipped out, dodging gunshots. Later, he abandoned his weapons and surrendered to a gang of armed whites. The next time he saw the Dreamland Theater, it was nothing but blackened boards and rubble. More than 4,000 blacks were interned during and after the riot. Okay. Let me get back. I could just go on and on into this. It's a lot to cover. It's a lot to talk about, in the Dreamland Theater. That's Lula Williams. That's her husband, Bill Williams. Lula Williams, the black woman. See, I said he defended his property. Then he turned himself over to the whites and they destroyed his property. They removed the black man from the community so they could loot and pillage and rob and kill. See, we got to tell the understory. These black men were defending. See, the white folks didn't have a chance when the black men were defending their property and their family with their lives and guns. As soon as the National Guard come in, you thought they were our friends, allegedly. They take the armed black men out the community and intern them in concentration camps. So, that's why you need black men. To protect black women, raise black men. Stop raising, just because you've been hurt by the baby dad. Look, raise men. We need to raise men. Raise awareness. You want to protect black women? You want to protect the black family? Raise men who love black women, who love the black family. Black men. Come on now. That's why they fear us. Think about it. It's a autobiography. Buck Franklin. He's one of the heroes of the Tulsa race massacre. He saved Black Wall Street from being gentrified the first time, from being destroyed. They destroyed Black Wall Street, but the courts were not trying to allow the powers that be were not trying to allow the black folks to build Black Wall Street up again, so-called Negro Wall Street, whatever you want to call it. Y'all get caught up in it. I'm trying to tell y'all some information. Don't be worrying about when it's really a Negro Wall Street. Well, Negro is black and Spanish, whatever. But what I'm saying is They didn't do the insurance payouts. When the black folks tried to rebuild, they said they had to have special fire retardant materials in the building. They're making all these obstacles for black folks to rebuild on their own ground. And black folks did own that land. Some people saying they didn't own the land. They owned that land. Yeah, black folks that own land that had oil on it. And that's another story. I'm not gonna get into all that, but one of the things you could do, check out the Oprah Network Black Wall Street special, 2 parts on the OWN channel on YouTube. Check that out. It's about less than 2 hours altogether, but thank me later, or not, don't thank me at all. But they tell you a little bit of them stories about how the white folks were trying to do guardianship over the wealth of black people as well as Native Americans. Like the Native Americans and black people had oil on their property. Tulsa is the oil capital of the world, right? This Tulsa, Oklahoma. So you had black folks and so-called black people, so-called Native Americans, their land had oil on it. And the course was saying, well, the black folks ain't smart enough to handle that type of wealth. We got to appoint white male guardians. And the black folks fought against that. Like A.G. Spencerman, who owned that newspaper, he was a lawyer that fought in court against white folks trying to take black wealth. There's so many different things going on here that we get caught up in, they just destroy, all this. It is so deep that I cannot just be on here for hours and hours, tell y'all about it. Take a look, it's all online, all this information. I'm just trying to point y'all, throw y'all some breadcrumbs out there. Y'all do that research. It rewards you when you do the research. It rewards you. And I guess I could be on here all day talking about this. But that Dr. A.C. Jackson thing is so deep, man. It is so deep. And we don't know who he is. And that's an insult. This man put it, I'm going to probably go back to Tulsa this summer. What else? What I said, let me talk about this. Thank y'all for being patient. Oh, God. This is so crazy. I'm talking about driving 13 hours tomorrow. Okay. We got to talk about this. This is fascinating. And I might do a couple more Tulsa shows. It's a lot of stuff. I just get frustrated, man, because I'm just one person trying to get this information out. And it gets, oh my God. Why, God? Why do I care so much about trying to share information with people? It's hard for me. It's a burden. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's a very lonely existence. I know I got friends and all that stuff. It's lonely. I try to, date women down here. Oh, yeah, that's kind of weird, right? I don't know about that. It's like, why are you into that stuff? Let the past be the past. Get this ass. Let the past be the past. Get this ass. Let the past be the past. Get this ass. Okay. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. But I'm gonna show this. Right here. Booker T. Washington High School class of 1921. Allegedly, that brother down there at the bottom row between them beautiful black girls is the one who caused all this trouble. This bad trouble, this good trouble, bad trouble, good trouble, bad trouble. They call him, he had different names, but the white people press called him Diamond Dick Rowland, but Richard Rowland, Dick Rowland, the shoeshine boy who started this whole unfortunate situation, allegedly. He didn't start. I mean, that's bullshit. They wanted Black Wall Street for other reasons. Dick Gregory already broke it down in less than 3 minutes while they had their eyes on Greenwood. It wasn't because what Dick Rowland did. Dick Rowland, that so-called incident was an excuse used to violate the black people in Black Wall Street. But I just want to show that picture. This is what allegedly Dick Rowland, Dick Rowland, known by the white press as Diamond Dick. It's like a porn star name, Diamond Dick. They call him Diamond Dick Rowland. And really, the reason, from my understanding, a lot of black folks say they never heard him being called Diamond Dick. He was well known in the black community of Greenwood. He was a respectable young man. And a lot of black folks did not believe that he could be accused of assaulting anybody, let alone a white woman, because he was so well respected in the community. But the reason I think they call him Diamond Dick was because he had a diamond belt buckle, because he was successful at being a shoe shop boy, allegedly. I don't know. It's like this Tulsa thing. You can't get caught up in this one narrative. Baba Dick Gregory, if you learn anything from Baba Dick Gregory, he talks about how the powers that be would change the narrative within 24 to 48 hours. He talking about how the news cycle is changed, like how they'll change the story. First it'll be 3 shooters, then it's a lone shooter. How it go from being 3 shooters to 1 shooter, and then you got the police radio saying we're chasing down 3 suspects. Then it go from 3 suspects to 1 suspect. This is the games they play, the games. But they won't put this blame on this black boy. And black men went down to the courthouse, to the jailhouse to defend this man's life or this boy's life. Because he was a teenager. He was a grown man. They always try to make our children older than what they are. You could be 10-year-old or 12-year-old. They call you this 12-year-old man. Tamir Rice was a 12-year-old man when the cop just took his life without any cause. He was a 12-year-old man. Okay. Ma'Khia Bryant was a woman, was a grown woman. No, she was a teenager. But it is what it is. I'm not, putting it out there, but this is the guy who allegedly caused it all. Right? Let me show another picture of Diamond Dick. Diamond Dick. Stuff is insane. Now, there's some stories behind Dick Rowland and Sarah Page, the white lady. I'm gonna call her white lady. I know she's 17. She was 17, but I'm gonna call her white lady because, like I said, white women cause a lot of these lynchings and stuff to go down. Allegedly, assaulting a white woman, and also you had white women throughout the country calling for the lynching of black people, in particular black men. But you also had what Ida B. Wells found out, that a lot of these so-called rapes were consensual. It was consensual sexual relationships that these black men have with white women. It almost cost Ida B. Wells her life. They burned down or destroyed her newspaper office. And luckily, she was out of town. And she never came back to Memphis. They ran out of Memphis. The black folks got rid of her in the miseducation system because Ida B. Wells was a school teacher in Memphis. And she was very vocal about the mistreatment of black teachers and students, how the black students would get inferior textbooks and resources and everything, while the black teachers would be paid horribly less than the white counterpart. And Ida B. Wells was very vocal about that. So the black folks said, "To hell with that, you out of here." Then when Ida B. Wells started learning the truth about the lynchings and reporting it in her newspaper, especially after her best friend got killed, the white folks ran out the South. But she basically told the truth about the nature of lynchings, that, mostly people being lynched, not because they were criminals, but because they were entrepreneurs. And that the so-called rape situation was really consensual sex between whites and blacks. Think about how Wilmington Race Massacre happened when, I think the newspaper owner, Thomas Dexter Manley, please you got his name wrong. I think it's Thomas Manley, like Thomas Dexter Manley. I did the Wilmington Race Massacre thing some months ago. They used the excuse of him talking about how white women prefer black men over, white men because they were sexually attracted to them as a reason to destroy Wilmington. Back in 1898, they used the newspaper as the excuse. It's like they used Ida B. Wells' newspaper as an excuse to run out of town, out of Memphis and out the South. But let me see. I'm trying to show another picture of Diamond Dick. That's him, Booker T. Washington High School. He's the guy in the middle, basketball. So was he a bust? I had to throw that in there. Love to Kwame Brown. We love you madly. Looking forward to connecting with Kwame in the near future. I had a chance to talk to Kwame Brown on the phone about 12 minutes. It was amazing. But he's been busy doing his God work. His mama's cooking is not, everybody's type of food, but it's food that is well received by me. It's nourishing to the soul and to masculinity. But Dick Rowland's in the middle. He's the man in the middle, the tall one. I think he's about 5'10", close to 6 feet tall. It's a basketball team from Booker T. Washington High School. So they're trying to say Diamond Dick was the cause of it all. But if you look at several other sources, including his own family members, they said that Diamond Dick or Dick Rowland was in a relationship with the white elevator operator. So this happened on Memorial Day weekend back in 1921. So why would I don't know things would be busy downtown like that? So they no, and Sarah Page was already divorced. According to other sources, Sarah Page was divorced and she was just 17 years old. So she was already like she was a virgin, like a virgin. But she already was divorced at the age of 17, and allegedly they had plans to get married and elope. So I don't know what really happened because she didn't want to press charges after the damage was done. Destroyed Black Wall Street. She refused to press charges, even though she screamed or something on the elevator. I don't know, but they were saying that they had plans to get married. There were people saying, I don't know. See, it's so much misinformation and misdirection because Black folks say they never heard this guy called Diamond Dick. They know Richard, they know Dick Rowland. They ain't never heard no guy called Diamond Dick. White folks invented it to justify them going out. Because when you think about Diamond Dick, you think about somebody who just got a magic stick. He's a porn star. To me, that was first Diamond Dick. Damn, he got around like Tupac, huh? Diamond Dick. Okay, but anyway, I want to read something about that from the Washington Post article. Y'all can find this. It came out in 1982. It's amazing that this came out in 1982, and y'all just now find out about it. Joe Biden with that BS. Y'all do know that Donald Trump was the first president, the sitting president to speak in Tulsa. Y'all didn't want him to speak in Kwanzaa. I mean, not Kwanzaa, but Juneteenth. He wanted to speak at Tulsa on Juneteenth. Donald Trump, he's aware. Y'all say, oh, Donald Trump, he the biggest racist. We ain't gonna let him speak on Juneteenth. But y'all let Joe Biden come down there. Cotton Eye Joe, Jim Crow Joe, can go down to Tulsa and not give nobody reparations and talk down to Black folks, talking about, well, Black folks just need a little bit more accountants and lawyers and professors. Man, did we not have that 100 years ago? We had probably the world's greatest surgeon was a Black man. Dr. A.C. Jackson was the most prominent person killed during the Tulsa race massacre. And arguably, really, quite frankly, what the Mayo brothers were saying is that, yeah, we know he Black, but he probably is the greatest. It's like if you, Babe Ruth, when Babe Ruth was asked who was the greatest baseball player of all time, and Babe Ruth asked for clarification, you mean white baseball player? What are you talking about? He said the greatest of all time. He said Henry Pop Lloyd, a Black man, was the greatest. Even they call him the Black Honus Wagner. Honus Wagner was a great shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Flying Dutchman. When he was told that they called Charles Lloyd the Black Honus Wagner, he said it was a great honor to be compared with him. Excuse me. Honus Wagner's got one of the most expensive baseball cards of all time, in the millions of dollars. One of the most expensive baseball cards of all time. He said it was an honor to be compared with this Black man, and Babe Ruth said he was the greatest. So the fact that the Mayo brothers would go out their way to say he was the greatest Negro surgeon in America, what they really were saying is that he was the greatest. Because white folks learn everything from us. We the parents and teachers of civilization, man. So-called Black people. So, read a little bit. On the morning of May 30th, 1921, Dick Rowland left his Main Street shoeshine stand to enter the Drexel building, which had a toilet on its top floor that Blacks could use. The elevator was operated by Sarah Page, 17, a white girl. A few minutes after the 19-year-old Black man entered the elevator, witnesses heard a scream and Rowland came running out. Page told police that she had been attacked. When Rowland was arrested the next day, he said he had accidentally stepped on Page's foot when he entered the elevator and had frightened her and torn her blouse while trying to keep her from falling. So this is from the Washington Post in 1982. The Tulsa Tribune printed 2 stories about the incident. One headline, "Nab Negro for attacking girl in the elevator." The other entitled, "To Lynch Negro Tonight." This the newspapers, y'all. I tell you, they're not trying to stop a lynching. They're trying to make money off of lynching, exploit a lynching. Black lives only matter when it's making white profits. Black lives only matter when it's making white profits. The first story said Rowland's nickname was Diamond Dick, a title his friends and family said they never heard before. The elevator operator was described as an orphan working her way through business college. Karens. Karen alert. Karen alert. Look, I'm gonna read it again. This is from Washington Post, 1982. The first story said Roland's nickname was Diamond Dick, a title his friends and family said they had never heard before. So these black people call him Diamond Dick. But then the contrast that the elevator operator was described as an orphan working her way through business college. Oh, she's a saint. She's a pure flower. They're not talking about the fact that allegedly she was married and divorced at the age of 17. Okay, let me finish a little bit. What the second story said may never been known. The pages of the newspaper were torn from the bound volumes at the Tribune's archives before they were microfilmed. Behind every great wealth, there's a great crime. They hiding the evidence, y'all. See, let me read it again. What the second story said may never be known. The pages of the newspaper were torn from the bound volumes at the Tribune's archives before they were microfilmed. Adjutant General Charles Barrett, who led the National Guard into Tulsa to suppress the riot, however, later said the riot was caused by the fantastic write-up of the Roland incident in a sensation-seeking newspaper. 45 minutes after the Tribune hit the streets, apparently with a report that a mob of whites was gathering to lynch Roland, a crowd did begin to form at the courthouse. A few hours later, there were more than 1,500 whites there, some armed. Rumors of a lynching quickly spread through the black section of the city. Finally, a group of armed blacks decided to go to the courthouse and investigate. Sheriff Willard McCullough was able to convince the blacks that Roland would not be turned over to the mob. But as they were leaving, several fights broke out. Shots were fired. The riot had begun. And all this happened in the span of 24 hours. There are many horror stories about what happened during the next 24 hours. Guns and ammunition were looted from downtown stores. A group of whites tried to break into the National Guard armory, only to be held at bay by a long pistol packing guardsman. He must have been a white one. Let me read this part, and I think there's so much to this. It's so much meat to this story, and I think I'm gonna share this article. Go ahead, share this in the comment section. But I'm gonna read this part. This was on the gentrification and the end of Jim Crow really killed Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street came back in a renaissance. You know, it was thriving during the Great Depression back in the 30s. It was like the wealthiest black business district in the country during the 1930s. So Black Wall Street made an amazing comeback. Like I said, they never got one red cent from the insurance company. But as news of the rioting spread across the nation, numerous relief or agencies offered to send the city aid. Alva J. Niles, president of the Tulsa Chamber of Commerce, however, said that Tulsa will care for its own. Tulsa feels intensely humiliated and standing in the shadow of this great tragedy, pledges its every effort to wiping out the stain, at the earliest possible moment, and punishing those guilty of bringing the disgrace and disaster to bringing the disgrace and disaster to this city. Now said. But while the Chamber of Commerce was telling the nation's press that reparation and restitution would be made, it actually was planning just the opposite. Tulsa needed a new train depot, and since the city was divided racially by the railroad, the destruction of the black business district suddenly provided city officials with an excellent opportunity to build a new depot. Hey, gentrification, y'all. Gentrification 101. Little known documents that describe how civic groups and churches opposed building the station on what was described as Negro property. So you had opposition from black people. They said, not on our property, not over our dead bodies, but over your dead bodies, they did it. Even so, the city officials passed a law that made it impossible for blacks to rebuild their homes. During the winter of 1921-22, more than 2,000 blacks lived in tents. Meanwhile, the city zoned the land for its new rail station. Okay. It's a game. It's a game. It's a game. Like Baba Dick would say, it's a game. It's a game. It's a game. So I'm gonna post this. Post the Washington Post article in the chat. Yeah, I could save and look at it later or whatever. But that's from 1982. So a lot of y'all just now finding out about Black Wall Street within the last year or two. I've been knowing about this for years. I remember watching a HBO documentary about Black Wall Street that was, I think, produced by none other than Bill Cosby, the one a lot of y'all hate so much. You know, that Bill Cosby. He produced a documentary about Black Wall Street with HBO. And before Johnny Cochran died, he was working on reparations for the survivors of Black Wall Street race massacre, or Tulsa race massacre. And like we got to tell those stories. We got to tell those stories. And like I said, there's so much to this thing here. I could be all night telling the story, but I'm not gonna keep y'all all night. I gotta get ready to go on my way. I guess I'll give my neighbors a break. They won't hear from me for almost 2 weeks. I'll be on the road. They have a little more, but I'll be on the road for a week. And week of some change, almost 2 weeks. Stuff is crazy. I'm trying to see what else I can find. Thank y'all for rocking with me, but it's so much information, man. It's hard to share a lot of time. I'm trying to find ways to digest all this myself. It's so much to take in. But know that, you know, what killed Tulsa or Black Wall Street or Greenwood was not the Tulsa race massacre, but it was gentrification, the end of Jim Crow, and desegregation, and actually the expressway running through Greenwood, the I-244. I think it's the I-244, right? Running through Greenwood. Not on the railroad, but the I-244 ran through it. Like, you know, where the Dreamland Theater was, that's where the expressway is running through. So the system has decided we're going to never let a Black Wall Street happen again. And there were many Black Wall Streets throughout America. This is not the only Black Wall Street. But what made it interesting was the fact that how they came back. They had even more businesses and prosperity when they came back. And what really killed it was the ending of Jim Crow and desegregation and gentrification and eminent domain. That what killed Black Wall Street. Not no race massacre. Because Black folks, our spirit is so powerful. It's like I was listening to a white historian from Tulsa in one of these old documentaries from 92. It's on Real Black Channel. Shout out to Mike Dennis from Philly. And he got the documentary from 92. They talked about the race massacre. They had the survivors interviewed, and a lot of them were still around. And they interviewed this white historian. He talked about how it was a church called Zion Church in Greenwood. It took out a 20-year mortgage, and that church was burnt to the ground. And they ended up taking out a second mortgage, a second 20-year mortgage, and they paid both out in record time. They paid both mortgages out in record time. So then you got to understand, nobody got a red cent of insurance money for their losses, including the churches. So why is it a so-called Christian nation, one of the best things they love to destroy are Black churches? Like you got the June 17th will be the anniversary, the 6-year anniversary of the Mother Emanuel massacre. Mother Emanuel in Charleston. It was I can't believe it's been 6 years ago. And I might do a show, but I don't know, do a Tupac Mother Emanuel show. It's so much to talk about. And I just wish some of my fellow YouTubers and people like that would talk more about stuff like this. Because I feel it's overwhelming. I know it's hard. People don't want to deal with like Black trauma porn, but this is reality. This is our history. This is part of our story. We got a glorious past too. You know, I don't feel always traumatized being a Black person in America. I live my life. I can laugh and I enjoy myself throughout the day, in spite of my troubles and concerns, or having a hole in my foot. The hole is actually almost gone. Thank God. It's healing the right way. I just, Whew, God. Let me see. Okay, let me talk about this. I think I can talk about this. So much to talk about. And thank y'all for rocking with the brother Ron. Sure, one more. Sure, another stream. Yeah, do you really own any property? Because anytime they can eminent domain your property, I don't care how much taxes you think you pay on it, and you pay this, and the government can take your land at any time. I got some cousins. They live in Georgia in a suburb outside of Atlanta, and the government said, we're gonna run an expressway through y'all neighborhood, so we'll give y'all market value and some resources to move to another property. And it was unfortunate because they couldn't fight the government and said, we're gonna just take this land and take your neighbors' homes, and they put all types of investments in their home and all that stuff. And it's not just about the monetary investments, but also the memories that were made on this property. So they could never replace that. But they got moved into a home, and it's like it's a pretty beautiful home. But they could, the government, if they want to build an expressway through there or whatever, they could just eminent domain that too. So you don't really own anything. And that's true. That's how I feel. Let's talk about this mural, man. Let's talk about this mural. It was done by a white artist, Michael Rosado. I think his name, Michael Rosado, from Maryland. He's from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. That's where Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass is born, but he's a white guy. And he was commissioned to do this mural in Tulsa. And he got talent, but my thing is I got a problem with it. I got definitely a problem with it, the way it portrays the death of black masculinity. I'm not rocking with that. Like basically, it's showing there's some type of erectile dysfunction in black masculinity. The fact that they got a white dude to do this is disturbing. Not that it's not him. He's talented. I like what he did in Maryland with Harriet Tubman and all that stuff. He got talent. Go to his website, Michael Rosado. But I met so many talented artists in Tulsa that could have did this. It's an insult that we always do. Black folks, we're some of the most creative and brilliant people on the planet. We gave America its cultural identity. I mean, it's Black Music Month, for crying out loud. You mean you couldn't find one black artist to do this work? And disturbing is like a portrait of D. Wade and Gabrielle Union and their family. Like there's D. Wade and there's Gabrielle Union, and that's their whatever, it, they, him, her, she, whatever. This is like psychological. You talking about some black trauma porn. This is what this is. This ain't Guernica, Picasso did. This is not Strange Fruit. Even though Strange Fruit, okay, Strange Fruit, y'all think that's the Billie Holiday song, but it's written by a white dude named A.L.L, who ended up adopting the kids of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, who were convicted in American courts for being Russian spies, and they was executed. And one of the people that led the charge on that was Roy Cohn, who was Donald Trump's mentor. Roy Cohn, the lawyer. But anyway, I find it very disturbing. Like, because you look at the history, like I just told y'all, it was black manhood that was fighting to save Black Wall Street. And what happened was that the black men, they respected law and authority more than the so-called white people. And they turned themselves in, gave their guns over, and that's why they was able to destroy Black Wall Street in 24 hours, level it to the ground. No building was standing, even the churches. And I talked about Dr. John Hope Franklin's father, Buck Franklin. He was a real unsung hero because he made sure that black folks were able to return to Greenwood to rebuild. And I had a chance to meet Dr. John Hope Franklin and talk with him. And he downplays. To me, I got to read his book, Mirror to America, on his own autobiography. he really downplayed his father's involvement in saving Greenwood. He didn't really talk about that at length. Not to say that he's not proud of his father, but his father was very much traumatized, and he was kept in a concentration camp. He lost everything because his plan was to move his family to Tulsa. They were living in Renters, Oklahoma, something like that. Some place called Renter or Rentersville, something like that. Y'all can look it up. I don't have time for all this. And his plan was to move his family to Tulsa, Buck Franklin, because it was more prosperity and opportunity for him to do his law practice. But when he moved in 24 hours, he moved there back in February 1921. And back in May, June 1st, whatever, within 24 hours, he lost everything in terms of his business was burnt down. The boarding house where he was staying at was burnt to the ground. And Buck Franklin actually talked about in his autobiography. This is the father of the great historian, Dr. John Holt Franklin. He talked about when the trouble was beginning, he was at the courthouse. He overheard, I guess, other black lawyers talking about they didn't believe the charges against Dick Rowland, how he was like a good kid, and they don't believe he did what they say he did. And then he said, right before all this stuff went down, that a black men in Greenwood was getting around 2 World War I veterans. Hear me out. They will get around 2 World War I veterans. One was black and the other was white. They told the black men, what y'all need to do, because white folks don't fight fair. Y'all not gonna win a fair fight. They're gonna fight dirty. But what y'all need to do is to go into these white neighborhoods and set these homes and buildings in the white neighborhoods on fire to distract the white mob that's coming. This is what the white and black World War I veterans were telling the black men to do. And they were about to do it. And then Buck Franklin, Dr. John Holt Franklin, father said, don't do this. Don't do this. It's not right. Because, black folks, we believe in the law more than white people do. See, it's not that we don't want police around. We just want police to do their job and not brutalize us, not violate us. We believe in law and order. We believe in protection of community. That's the funny thing about this. So Buck Franklin, because he was a court officer of the court, right? He was a lawyer. He said, "No, we don't need to do this. This is breaking the law." And basically, he said after that night, he never saw that white veteran or that black veteran again. And what they said was prophetic. He said, if you black folks want to survive, y'all gonna have to be preemptive. Y'all gonna have to be on an offense, do a little bit of guerrilla warfare. That's what they learned over in the trenches over there in Europe. And they're trying to help the black people. And there's a lot of these black men who was trying to defend the community were World War I veterans. A lot of them were crack shots and sharpshooters and stuff like that. So it's fascinating, man. I even think about the story of Charles Hamilton Houston, who was the Jegna of Thurgood Marshall. He was the dean of the Howard University Law School, and also he was a part of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. He really created the blueprint for what is now known as Brown v. Board, but he died young before that happened several years later. But he was an officer in the military. He almost was lynched in his uniform. This guy was a lieutenant, I think. It's like that he was an officer. He was almost lynched in full uniform by American doughboys. These are the white soldiers from America during World War I. They call them doughboys, right? They almost lynched him in France because the white women prefer black men, especially in uniform, over the white dudes. See, something about black masculinity and black sexuality that these folks fear. Lynching were like sex magic acts. Think about one of the first things they would do to a lynch victim was cut off their private parts, right? And preserve them. It's a sex ritual. Sex ritual lynchings were. But this picture deters black masculinity. I don't think it was his intent. I heard a couple of his interviews, but to show the black man that weak is a very powerful propaganda tool. So, and the guy is very talented. Go to his website, michaelrosado.com. He got some great work on there. But I just think it was interesting. You got all them black people down in Tulsa that could have did this artwork. I seen a lot of great murals in Tulsa. Why not hire black folks to do it? It's like when the Alphas and all them raised all their money to build a king statue in DC. They got a Chinese national to do that. They didn't get no black. All these great black American artists in this country, you can get a Chinese national. Now I remember I had Gilbert Young, one of the black artists. He was a prominent black artist that protested against them selecting a Chinese national. And I had a show with Gilbert Young and my Jegna, the late Judge DeArmond Bailey, got into a friendly debate about it. I think the Army was an alpha, if not mistaken. and good points were made. And I'm gonna upload that show to YouTube. It was on my blog talk. This is like in the early days of blog talk radio. Like I said, I've been doing black media since 2007, 2006, but I started podcasting in 2007. So I had Gilbert Young on there, the great artist, and De'Armor Bailey, a great man, talking about why did they select a Chinese national to do the King Memorial. And I've been to the King Memorial, and it's not bad, but why not have a black person? It's kind of strange. Black people are so creative, yet we have everybody else telling our story except us. We don't want to be in charge of our own narrative. So let me remove that. Hey, so but yeah, but it's like these false narratives we buy into. And I look forward to taking the self with you as well too. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm saying we gotta tell our stories, man. We always be. It go back to the Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Ralph Ellison's from Oklahoma, and we had. If y'all never read Invisible Man, please do yourself a favor and read Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. He talks about how black people could be invisible, even telling our own story. We could be the invisible man, be on the sideline, we'd be marginalized, even in the telling of our own story. We're not allowed. Even that movie Green Book was not about black people. It's about this white man. It's not even about they told the truth about the subject matter of Green Book. You'd be more amazed at the actual story than what they told in that movie. This dude was a very well accomplished musician. My understanding, his apartment, his lavish apartment was located above Carnegie Hall. So if they just told the truth about the black man in the Green Book movie, not make it about the white man, but a better story. But we don't know. We don't know who we are. That's why I said with Dick Gregory, why get mad at him when he's frustrated? He was just frustrated. I'm trying my best, but it's just gonna be a 3-hour show. Let me get out. It's so much to talk about. Yeah, June 10th was the anniversary of Jack Johnson dying. My problem with Jack Johnson is that he didn't allow other black men to have a shot at the heavyweight title, excuse me. He allowed the great white hopes to have a shot, but he wanted to be the one and only. And the reason why that is because the mentality of Jack Johnson, he was known as the Galveston Giant. He's from Galveston, Texas. And Jack Johnson came up in the era of the Battle Royale, where they would have black men in the ring fighting each other blindfolded. The last Negro standing was the winner. White folks would have all the money thrown on the ground. So his mentality was he wanted to be the one and only. And what people don't know about Jack Johnson, they always fixate on he messed around with white women. I believe Jack Johnson's first 2 wives, I think he had 1 or 2 wives before he had white women were black. I think his first 2 wives were black women. Y'all can look that up. I think he was married to black women. He said, enough is enough. I'm going to deal with these white women. He rather face a lynch mob than deal with a black woman after 2 marriages to black women. I think it was either 1 or 2. I know he was married to 1 black woman, but I believe other sources say he was married to 2 black women before he started getting with the white women. So Jack Johnson died in a bad car accident out there in North Carolina. He was speeding. Allegedly, he was angry at how he was treated at a restaurant. They wouldn't serve him, even though he was, world famous Jack Johnson. He was about like 68 years old when he died. But he still was boxing into his 60s. So that's nothing new. People think, well, George Foreman came back and think about Floyd Mayweather recently, but Jack Johnson was boxing into his 60s. He kept himself in very good shape. And what people don't know about Jack Johnson, he was also an inventor. He invented things. So he was a brilliant mind. Brilliant mind. So, oh, man. Yeah. So let me let me talk about Jimmie Lunceford. That's the picture behind me. I did Jimmie Lunceford. Like I said, because of the COVID stuff, last year we wasn't able to have Jimmie Lunceford Jamboree Festival homecoming court ceremony. So we actually postponed it and had it on his birthday. But let me do something right quick. That is Black Music Month. Jimmie Lunceford was a Gemini. Geminis are great musicians. You know, I give props for props. I do. We'll be right back. Just want to play this tribute to Jimmie. So much stuff going on, but y'all take care of yourselves, and be right back.
Do you know what today is? It's your special day. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Rhythm was his business, and he did it well. Rhythm was his business, and he sure was well. Happy 119th Life Affirmation Day. James Melvin Lunceford, also known as Jimmie. Thank you, sir, for being a true leader, a revolutionary leader of jazznocracy. You revolutionized the two-beat in jazz. And in the words of the great Duke Ellington, you are truly beyond category. Beyond category. Beyond category. To paraphrase Glenn Miller, Duke is great, Count is remarkable, but Lunceford tops them both because rhythm was his business and he did it well. We love you madly, Mr. Lunceford. May your jazznocracy be forever young and never grow old. In the words of your fellow immortal, Duke Ellington, we love you madly.
put life on pause for so long. I'm all about protecting what's mine. So when my doctor says COVID.
Yeah, happy 119th to Jimmie Lunceford. Rhythm is his business, or rhythm was his business, and he did it well. So I'm always going to honor Jimmie Lunceford as long as I'm around. My thing is to educate people more about his amazing legacy. Like I said, how can you forget a man? This man was more popular and better known among black people back in the 30s and 40s than Duke Ellington and Count Basie. And these guys were legends, but how can you forget a man? Because he died young. And one of Jimmie Lunceford's things was he was always trying to help black people. You know, he was always giving back to the black community. And, like I said, we don't always treat the people that love us the best. The folks that really got our sincere interest at heart, because Jimmie Lunceford was a music educator. He's credited with being the father of jazz education in the formal classroom setting. He was the first person in the world to teach jazz music or jazz studies in a formal educational setting. He did it as a volunteer as a so-called colored or Negro school in North Memphis, what is now known as North Memphis. And took his best high school students, created the greatest swing band of the 30s and 40s, left Memphis in 1930. 4 years later was the house band of the Cotton Club, was the number one attraction in the Apollo Theater for a whole decade, was an aviation pioneer. He owned and flew his own airplanes. Back in the 1940, brought his first airplane for what it would be the equivalent of today's money, about $400,000. This is during the Great Depression. So I just find it part of my mission to honor this man and never forget the things he did, because like I said, he will always come back to Memphis and do musician clinics and also free concerts at Manassas High School. And one of the people he inspired was my Jegna, Emerson Abel Jr., who was transfixed by his saxophonist, Joe Thomas. He loved that sound. Mr. Abel was a gifted tenor saxophonist, was a brilliant mind. But, like Dick Gregory was very frustrated because he gave so much to his community to try to, uplift. I think Mr. Abel is either a Libra or a Scorpio, but he's close to a Libra, if not a Libra, like Dick Gregory. I think he probably was a Libra, or maybe he could have been a Scorpio. But anyway, all that to say, we did do the ceremony on his birthday this year. So I was at M Wood annually, like I always do, the wreath land, pay my respects. Then we did the ceremony, and I'm going to play some highlights from there. Not all the highlights, but some, because this is really God work, my God work that I'm doing, because I'm not just doing this just for me. I'm doing it for the community. And it's amazing when you are able to do this work and to remind the family of the ancestors that you're honoring, of the greatness of their bloodline. A lot of them, it's interesting. But I want to play, because our honorees, our posthumous homecoming court king and queen was Booker Little, the great jazz trumpeter who he lost at age 23, and also his sister, opera legend Vera Little. Vera Little was the first African American, Black American, whatever you want to call it, to play at the Vatican. She sung for the Pope back on April 4th, 1959 at the Vatican, becoming the first so-called African American singer to perform at the Vatican. And yet she's not a household name in Memphis, let alone in this country. Spends the majority of her adult life in Europe, in particular in Germany. She married a Greek guy, died in Germany back in 2012, about 83 years young. But her brother Booker died at the age of 23. So I want to play this tribute that one of our participants, the lovely sister Valletta Brinson, who's an opera singer, did a tribute to the amazing legacy of Vera Little, who was our 2020 Jimmie Lunceford Jamboree Homecoming Court Festival queen posthumously. Because our court honors 6 people every year. We do a posthumous king and queen, people that are already, passed on to glory. Then you do the prince and princess, and then we do a living king and queen. And that's the brainchild of my mom, the brilliant Dr. Callie Hurd, who just became a doctor. She got her doctor papers Tuesday. So she's Dr. Callie Hurd, Dr. Education, doctorate in education. We're going to be doing a 4 pillow reflame ceremony on June 18th at the Memphis National Cemetery. We do be doing this annually to honor the war dead, the Black women, children, and men who were massacred by the forces of Nathan Bedford Forrest, the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan during the American Civil War, and what is now known as the Fort Pillow Massacre of April 12th, 1864. So my organization, the We All Be Group Inc., our nonprofit, been honoring our righteous ancestors, the fallen, since 2016. So, like I said, we don't do this with a lot of support. We do help support. We connect grassroots organizing, in-kind donations, stuff like that. But to get these so-called official grants is like pulling teeth with these people. The people are very much aware of what we do. It's like what Kwame Brown said: people are in love with personalities instead of results. People are in love with personalities instead of results. People are in love with personalities instead of results. So let me play this tribute from Sister Valletta Brinson, very talented music educator and opera singer. And you'll see why I say all that. And this is We All Be, News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Everyone, I just want to say that I'm a professor at Southwest Tennessee Community College, but I got schooled today. I learned so much. If I could have something like this every day, I would be there. And just like you said, it's up to our ancestors to let us know about things. I have a 94-year-old grandmother, and I didn't know anything about a hippodrome until she said something about it. And I didn't know anything about Vera Little until yesterday. And that upset me. So I have a lot of work to do teaching music history and not knowing that. So I got work to do. So I'm going to sing for you in honor of Miss Little, Ach, ich fühl's, and that means I feel it. And it is from Die Zauberflöte by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And that's actually where I met Paula Newberry when we did it together at Opera Memphis. So Pamina is upset with her boyfriend because he's going through an initiation and he can't speak to her at the moment. And so she's all distraught and thinks that he doesn't love her anymore. So she's just having a fit. So that's pretty much what this aria is about. Desert rain and pleasant rose, dear Allah. Dear Allah, first to mich der Liebe sehen. Der Liebe sehen. So viel Trauer, so viel Trauer im Todessein. Fast der Mensch der Liebe sehnen, so viel Trauer, so viel Trauer im Todessein. So viel Trauer im Todessein. Thank you.
And it's amazing. That's Sister Valletta Brinson, well-known family here in Memphis. You know what's amazing about that really is the fact that we had an opera singer that was going to sing a tribute to Very Little because she was having throat issues and vocal issues, and she was put on bed rest or vocal rest by her doctor. And it's just like when you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing, things work out the way they're supposed to work out. Had a friend, a shout out to Sakita McKinley, who was actually our 2017 Jimmie Lunceford Homecoming Court Jamboree Festival. I think I got Homecoming Court's Princess from 2017, the first year we started doing it. Reach out to her like on Friday night. She said, "Oh no, Valletta Brinson can do this." Text Valletta that night. She was down with it. And so that's like less than 24 hours was able to get this woman to commit. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's amazing. Her voice is amazing. And I look forward to working, or we look forward to working more with Valletta Brinson. As the years go forward, we actually gonna be working with her, I think, in the fall. Hey, Sister Sunshine, you are Cali Sunshine. You Cali girls, you Cali women are extraordinary. Y'all in the league of your own. Thank you for tuning in. Brilliant minds. Um, Thank you, Nori. Yeah, he did talk about that. You know, Charles was working at this restaurant, and it was like a waitress that kept on trying to come on to him, try to rub her, her thing, her tatas on him, and all this stuff. And he had to leave, because he was in fear of his life. Not saying that Charles, he might have had the taste of that white meat before. Charles loved women, and he was an interesting character. He was one of my favorite characters from the movement. And when I used to go to Jackson, Mississippi, I used to make it my business to make sure I stopped by the radio station that he ran, just to chop it up to pay my respects to. He's like a black godfather. That Netflix movie or documentary, Clarence Avant. I think his name Clarence Avant. They call him the Black Godfather. Charles Evans to me was like the Black Godfather of Mississippi. I mean, the man put his life on the line, was his brother's keeper, lived to be almost 100 years young, died at the age of 97 last year, because 2020 was just a tough year. But he talked about how he was working at this restaurant, I guess, as and his white woman was a racist. She kept on trying to, mess with his mind, wanting to screw him. Now, I ran it when I was walking or jogging some years ago. I had met a brother who was painting a sign for a church, or working on a sign for a church, and he was actually from Mississippi, and he was a former pilot at FedEx, cancer survivor, and he talked about how his brother had to be sent to Chicago on a one-way bus, one-way ticket, to Chicago, because when his brother was 14, this white woman was obsessed with him. You got to think, this is back in Mississippi, back in the Jim Crow days. This white woman wouldn't leave him alone. The family said, please leave our son alone, leave our child alone. White woman was obsessed with his brother, so they had to send his brother at the age of 14. They did a reverse Emmett Till. They didn't send him down to Mississippi to get lynched. They sent him away from Mississippi, not to get lynched. They sent him from Mississippi to Chicago. Emmett Till was sent from Chicago to Mississippi. So they did a reverse Emmett Till. So they saved his brother's life. But he talked about when he moved to Memphis, this black man who was painting the sign, who worked on the sign for the church, who was a former pilot for FedEx. He talking about how he was the sex slave for an older white woman in Memphis. I guess his family had this thing on them, but white women couldn't get enough of them. I guess he was his own diamond dick. But anyway, he said this white woman threatened to call rape on him and put him in prison for a long, long time. So he was a sex slave to this white woman until she died. And she was an older white woman. And he actually told a black police officer his situation. And I believe this is Memphis back in the day, man. It's like, I think in the 70s or whatever, 80s, whatever, 70s. But he said that the black cop told him, look, man, just do what she tell you to do. The black cop told him. He said, let's be her sex slave until she died. Then one day she died, or one day he stopped coming over there, but she died because she was an older woman. But this is a random stranger guy that told me about this. So, I mean, I remember Charles Evans talking about that. May he rest in peace, the honorable righteous ancestor. I mean, they said they wasn't in a relationship. Like, the whites and blacks, the white relatives of Sarah Page and the black relatives of Dick Rowland said they were both in a consensual relationship. And even the sheriff knew about it. Because now, with Dick Rowland, nobody really knows what happened to him officially. But I promise you, if they actually killed Dick Rowland, the white folks would have bragged about it. Because their intention was to lynch Dick Rowland when they rolled up on that jailhouse, whatever, courthouse, whatever. But the black man stood their ground. The black man came to his defense and knew that he was not a deviant or a criminal. So, man, but we got to tell these stories. We got to stop this like, oh, it happened. No, it was more. Tulsa came back, man. Black Wall Street made a comeback. It wasn't just, it was over in 1921. They actually made a comeback. And then the system said, no, we're going to make sure you don't make no more comebacks. We're going to end segregation. We're going to end Jim Crow. We're going to create gentrification. We're going to put that big expressway right through the middle, the heart of your community. So it was a stab in the heart of Greenwood. So the white folks worked overtime to kill Greenwood. Yeah, she's very gifted. Like I said, when we did a sound check on Saturday, it was raining. She came out the rain just singing, flat foot singing, man. Memphis got that type of talent, man. We got a lot of talent. Well, I'm so when I go anywhere in the country, I tell folks I'm from Memphis. They expect great things from Memphians. So my friend Ekpe Abiato call us Memphites. If you know about Memphis, Tennessee is a reflection of Memphis, Egypt. Like Memphis, Tennessee is like a religious and cultural and economic commerce hub, just like Memphis, Egypt was. Miss me with the land of the dead BS. This is the land of resurrection. Yeah, it was crazy. I get chills every time I hear her voice. It is so amazing. Amazing. Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah, black folks afraid of tell our story, man. Like I tell people I'm related. Like I found this Black Music Month, right? I'm related, to Curtis Mayfield and Marvin Gaye and Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Vic Miller. There's a lot of musicians and entertainers in my family. I got a lot of soldiers and stuff in my family too, and different trees. But it's funny because I've been listening to Curtis Mayfield a lot, and I was listening to his song "Don't Worry." That song is so amazing. That's the orchestration and all that. That's my cousin doing that. But what I love about like Marvin Gaye's and Curtis Mayfield's, they weren't trying to sound like everybody else. They were sounding like themselves. Like Marvin Gaye stood his ground with what's going on, and then he did the "Hear My Dear," a whole album dedicated to his ex-wife, Barry Gordy's sister. I guess it's his way of paying alimony, but our voices are unique, man. It's like what Charlie Parker said. He said, your music, your life, experiences. If you don't live your music, it won't come out your horn. I'm paraphrasing Charlie Parker, who grew up with my family in Kansas City. Charlie Parker used to play in my great uncle's establishments back in the day. So I'm learning all this as I get older. I wish I knew a lot of this information when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm learning about, Curtis Mayfield and Marvin Gaye and Rosetta Tharpe and Big Miller, my cousin, who was a very popular jazz musician in Canada. He was so famous in Canada. They got a big statue in his honor in Canada. I wish I knew this when I was growing up. Like I knew about Emmett Till and Medgar Evers when I was in grade school, not because they taught me, but because I was reading and talking to or listening to the elders. We got to tell our stories. You always be the invisible, marginalized character if you don't tell your story. They go back to Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Ralph Ellison's from Oklahoma. And you look at Charlie Wilson. I look at Charlie Wilson and the Gap Band. That song "You Dropped a Bomb on Me." It is about Tulsa. I know Charlie said it was. Charlie was talking to a survivor that lived to be over 100 years old. That's subliminal. Well, I'm an artist. I'm a tool for the universe to communicate messages to you all. Like you look at musicians, successful songwriters. A lot of them say, "What inspired you to write the song?" I don't know what it was. It's something that came through me. You don't, because something. It's the universe is using you to get these messages out. So Charlie Wilson can say it's not about Black Wall Street, but we can say it is about Black Wall Street. You from there, and Charlie Wilson like an Indian. Because every time I look at the pictures of him and his brothers, the Gap Band, they look more Native American to me than African. And this is me. You even look at how the Black people. If you look at Dr. John Hope Franklin, yeah, he's dark, but the way he hold himself, them Black people had knowledge of self. Something that a lot of us are missing today. We confused about who we are. But back then, Black folks had pride. They had race pride. They knew their tree. They knew their roots. They was rooted. And that's why that would make us powerful. Because Black people are the alchemists of humanity. We turn shit into gold every day. Like I said, they rebuilt Black Wall Street bigger and blacker and stronger after the riots, after the massacre. White folks, how many white folks know we could do that? Lost Colony of Roanoke. They disappeared. When times get tough, white folks disappear. Roanoke Colony. Look up the Lost Colony of Roanoke or the Roanoke Lost Colony, whatever. But anyway, let me see what else. I'm gonna play another one from Earlise Taylor. She was our homecoming court queen 2017. And she did a tribute for our honoree for 2020, sister Joyce Cobb from Nashville, who couldn't make it. He had a schedule conflict. But I mean, Miss Earlise Taylor, she is a godsend, self-taught vocalist. She didn't go to school for this. Just flat foot can sing and can hit notes like nobody's business. This type of talent we have. Like I ask people to give. Tennessee is known as the volunteer state. So people have volunteered their time and their talents to help create awareness for the legacy of James Melvin Lunceford. So let me play this. She doing a thing. All of me. Why not take all of me? Okay. Let's see if I can find it. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
All of me. Why not take all of me? Can't you see? I know good Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them. Your goodbye left me with eyes that cry. How can I go on, dear, without you? You took the part that once was my heart, so why not take all of me? All of me. Why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? You took the part that once was my heart, so why not take all of me? So why not take all of me? Yeah.
That was a sister, Elise Taylor. She did. I mean, these people could flat foot sing. This is Memphis. I could pull people off the streets and say, "Can you sing this for me?" They're singing. It's like a musical almost, right? I mean, but these people just got talent like that, man. And the sad thing about it is that we don't do enough as a people to create spaces and places and platforms to amplify the talents of our people. We want white folks to co-sign off the greatness of our people. It was that long ago where white folks was going to the Apollo Theater to get their co-sign and respect the black audiences. Think about Buddy Holly. No, the Buddy Holly movie. He had to go to Apollo to get the respect. He didn't know he was great until the black folks say you great. You talk about somebody like Hank Williams Sr., the king of country music. His mom hired a black man, Rufus T. Top Payne, to teach him how to sing and play the guitar. Even he acknowledged in his short life of 29 years that it was a black man that taught him to sing country. You think about Jimmy Rogers, yodel, ole, ole. The yodeler from I think Meridian, Mississippi. He did a song called Blue Yodel #9 with Louis Armstrong and his wife Lil Hardin Armstrong. To me, I consider it the first gangster rap song. It's like it's a country song, but you got these two black jazz geniuses on there with this country genius, and they doing a gangster rap song. They talking about shooting craps on the corner of Bill and Main. And on the corner of Bill and Main, that's Bill Street, right? If Bill Street can talk, you got the Orpheum Theater at the corner of Bill and Main. Also, MLG, Memphis Like Gas and Water, but they were shooting craps, and he threatened to send out around his home with his gun. That's Jimmie Rogers. Check this stuff out. I'm just dropping this stuff. This is Black Music Month, but everything come back to black. Black folks, we play a major part, and for us not to acknowledge what is owed to us as a people is an insult. We don't have to dance and do all this stuff they were doing in Tulsa a couple weeks ago. Just bring the receipts. We've been dancing and singing and playing along far enough. Now's the time to bring those receipts and amplify those receipts and stop letting people sell you out and make you a chump and make you a non-factor in your own story. That's what we got to start doing. Yeah, that's the great stuff. Otis Redding and them didn't know how big they were until they went overseas. Because they seen the 5 Heartbeats where they had the white folks on the cover of the album. They want to have the black singing groups on the album cover. They had the white folks. This is what they used to do back in the day. They try to do that stuff to Miles Davis. You know what I'm saying? Put white folks on his album covers and stuff. Then he started putting his wives on his album covers. You know what I'm saying? But Otis Redding didn't know how big they were until they went over to England. You know, in England they had the pirate radios. They were doing like illegal broadcasting, like pirate streaming, like Napster or something like that back in the day. So nobody in England knew what Otis Redding looked like. They didn't know he was this big black man from Georgia. They assumed he was a white man. So when he came over there, it was a cultural shock, but they loved him. You know, he got that acclaim, and Otis only lived to be 26 years young. So he was able to know his impact worldwide. But they always trying to stifle the black mind, black creativity, you know, and make it their own. Yeah, Charlie Pride, the great Charlie Pride, we just lost him. Charlie Pride used to play Negro League Baseball. He was a pitcher with the Memphis Red Sox, Negro League Baseball. People don't know that, but Charlie Pride was an excellent singer. But country music is black music. You know, the first stars of the Grand Ole Opry were black people like D. Ford Bailey. And people don't want to talk about that. You know, when T-Top actually got a memorial monument dedicated to him in his honor in the cemetery where he's buried at in Montgomery. It's called Lincoln Cemetery. You go to the front entrance, there's a monument that was dedicated to Rufus T-Top Payne from Hank Williams Jr. and the Grand Ole Opry. They acknowledged the debt he paid to country music by training Hank Williams Sr., the so-called king of country music, how to sing and play guitar and other things and write music. And Hank Williams Jr. got a song called T-Top that talks about Rufus Payne and thanking him for helping his father become great in music. But black folks don't know that. That's common knowledge in the country. So it's like y'all thinking Old Town Road and all this stuff is new. Black folks, we invented country music. The banjo is a black instrument. Yeah, it's so much, man. Take a look, it's all online. Take a look, it's all online. Yeah, and these people are savages. There was a thing, I did a book about a guy named James Reese Europe, the jazz lieutenant. He was the leader of the Harlem Hellfighters jazz band. He brought jazz to Europe. His last name was Europe. I can't make this up. But they were stationed in Spartanburg. It was about to be a race massacre and riot between the black soldiers stationed there and the white racist people in Spartanburg. Now, it was interesting, like I told you, that John Hope Franklin's father, Buck Franklin, said he saw 2 World War I veterans, one black and one white, talking to the black men to say do guerrilla warfare and preemptive attacks before they destroyed Greenwood. It was the white soldiers from New York that was willing to fight with the black soldiers against the white folks down in South Carolina. So you had white folks from New York, white soldiers. Hey man, these are soldiers. They patriots. Y'all can't disrespect these black men like that. So what happened, from my understanding, James Reese Europe stopped them from having a deadly race riot or race massacre by playing his music. It soothed the savage beasts down, those beast people down in South Carolina. So allegedly he started playing the music of his marching band, his jazz band, military band, and it calmed everybody down. So this is the man who brought jazz to Europe only to be killed by his drummer after the war ended May 9th, 1919. Stabbed in his neck, he bled out to death, was 39 years young. First black person given a public funeral in New York City history back on May 13th, 1919. That's Lieutenant James Reese Europe. I call him the Jazz Lieutenant. He's buried in Arlington National Cemetery outside D.C. And he went to school at what is now known as Dunbar High School. It used to be known as M Street High School back in the day. But he's from Mobile, Alabama, born there February 22nd, 1880. So, yeah, the banjo is like basically a drum with strings. It's an African instrument. Like you get drum, it's a drum with strings on it. That's an African thing. You think about even the greatest bass guitar players from, some people think the greatest bass guitar players from the Carolinas. He's a Gullah Geechee named James Jamerson. He was one of the funk brothers at Motown. James Jamerson laid down all them great bass lines, and he was amazing. But the way he played the bass, phenomenal. James Jamerson, look up In the Shadow of Motown, this documentary about the Funk Brothers that came out back, I believe, in 2002. So it's where I think it's on Amazon Prime. You can find it easily. In the Shadow of Motown. Talks about the Funk Brothers, the group that was some of the greatest Motown recordings or music recordings of the 20th century period. A lot of you guys had jazz backgrounds. Like it was one drummer from Memphis named Richard Allen. His nickname was Pistol. Pistol. He was a drummer, a prolific drummer with Motown, but he was a jazz drummer. He went to Manassas High School, the same school where Jimmie Lunceford started music education at back in the 20s. He went there. A lot of great musicians come out of Manassas. Miles Davis, a lot of his sidemen from the early 60s, like George Coleman and Frank Strozier and Harold Mayburn, came out of Manassas. He said, what they doing down there in that one school to produce these people when they were coming? Charles Lord, George Coleman. Even his hero was Jimmie Lunceford growing up in East St. Louis. He used to listen to Jimmie Lunceford broadcast from the Cotton Club in East St. Louis, Miles Davis. Same way with Horace Silver and Quincy Jones. Memphis is a powerful place. Then you got to understand that he talked about all these jazz people that came through Memphis from that Manassas High School. Their band teacher was Matthew Garrett, who was the father or is the father of Dee Dee Bridgewater, the Grammy Award-winning jazz singer. Dee Dee Bridgewater was born in Memphis. She was raised in Flint, Michigan, but she's from Memphis. I believe, I don't know, it was Flint, Michigan, or Lansing. She was born here in Memphis. Her daddy was a band director at Manassas, where Jimmie Lunceford started, where all them guys came through. Charles Lord, George Coleman, Booker Little. Miles Davis even talked about Booker Little. Booker Little only lived to be 23 years young, but that guy was an amazing trumpet player. Amazing. Out the stratosphere. And he was a disciple of the late, great Clifford Brown. We lost Clifford Brown tragically young. I believe it was June of 1956. He was 25 years young. He died in a horrible car accident on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. He was killed along with Richie Powell, a great piano man whose brother was the great piano bebop legend Bud Powell. I believe Richie Powell's wife was driving the car. She lost control and all three people died. They was on their way to a gig in Chicago with Max Roach and Sonny Rollins. So he was just 25 years young. And Booker Little, when he heard the news, he said, I wish I could have took his place and died for him. And you know what's interesting? Booker Little ended up playing with Max Roach after Clifford Brown died. He ended up playing with Max Roach, him and George Coleman, the great saxophonist from Memphis who went to Manassas High School. George Coleman played with B.B. King and Miles Davis. Played with everybody. He's still around too. But this is a little history. Like, so Booker Little ended up taking Clifford Brown place in Max Roach's band, which is interesting. So I'm gonna have this tribute. I'm gonna play this tribute for Booker Little we did. Booker Little lived to be only 23 years young, but Booker Little got around. He like DMX, man. He had kids all over the place, man. That's beautiful. He was a married man, but he was 23 years young, prolific like Tupac and DMX. Like he prolific like Tupac. He was prolific like Tupac in the recording studio. Then he was prolific like DMX in the bedroom. But he was just 23 years young and left this amazing legacy. So just do yourself a favor, go online on YouTube, look up some Booker Little stuff. It'll blow your mind. This man was already so well advanced at the age of 23. Man, you can only imagine if he lived like 30 or 50 more years where he would have been at. Also, he composed his own music. Like I said, his sister was the opera singer, Vera Little, the first African-American singer to perform at the Vatican. So let me play this. Neighbors, I guess they're gonna complain. I guess they'll get a break for a week and a half. They'll be all right. I got what noises I'm making like that. Like I got a party or a concert going on here. I'm just talking on YouTube. But anyway, let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is. And the brother who's playing the trumpet is the great George Ralph Collier. He played with everybody, but he didn't record. But his legacy, I mean, he's a great, just a live musician. He played with everybody. Some of my favorites, like O.V. Wright, people like that, Little Johnny Taylor. But he'll be doing a tribute, and hopefully I can close this out soon. Cause I'm trying to hit the road. I don't know, man. I just hate like getting ready to go on road trips. I be packing so much stuff like I'm going on a world tour or something like that. I just do things weird, man. But anyway, y'all enjoy.
Jazz Workshop.
And let me know if y'all can hear.
Okay. I think I hear me now. Speaking of brass trumpet greatness, Mr. Collier, you got to come back up here, man. Memphis got a great trumpet tradition that's not acknowledged like it should be in terms of the jazz. Oh, yeah, we need some water. Yeah, bottled water. It's inside. Okay, thank you. Give him a bottle of water. With that muddy with a Holland Wolf song, asked for water, gave me gasoline. She gave me gasoline. Asked for water, she gave me gasoline. Crazy love. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna honor, like we talked about earlier, Miles Davis was very impressed with the musicians that came out of Memphis, in particular Manassas High School. He mentioned the great trumpet player Booker Little. Booker Little was like, you know, Clifford Brown, Fess Navarro, this bright burning lights that burned out so quickly, but their impact is felt for generations. You might not know their name, but you can't forget their sound. And I want to honor Sister Grace Little. She is the wife of Larry Little, one of Booker Little's children. Grace, we see you. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate you. She's kind of camera shy. She's camera shy. Yeah, okay. Booker died at 23. He got married and had some kids. And he left a lot of recordings, like Tupac of jazz. He left a lot of recordings behind. He admired Clifford Brown a lot. We lost Clifford Brown at the age of 25 in a horrible car accident with Richie Powell, the little brother of the great Bud Powell. His wife was driving the Pennsylvania Turnpike. They was on their way to Chicago with a gig with Sonny Rollins and Max Roach. You know, Max Roach and Clifford Brown had the band together, Brownie and Roach. They were doing their things, kind of like, you know, Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. They had their special musical connection. And he lost his life at 25. So Booker, from my understanding from the great Charles Lloyd, said he wished it was him that could have sacrificed his life for the life of Clifford Brown. And Booker died at 23. He died 2 years younger than Clifford Brown. And I tell y'all, just Google Booker Little. His trumpet technique, is impeccable. Another great trumpet player in that family is Louis Smith, who just lost his life, I think August of 2016. Louis Smith was actually a professor emeritus at the University of Michigan. He did some albums with Kennebar Adley, some other people. He was a music educator. That Little family is deep. We're going to talk about Vera Little, his big sister. Vera Little was the first African-American singer to perform for the Pope at the Vatican. This happened on April 4th, 1959. She was an opera star, and we don't even know about her in our own hometown. So, like her brother, Booker Little. But I want to bring behind me a brother who's got a very great sound of his own. Play with everybody. Didn't record with everybody, but play with everybody. He's like one of them guys. Hey, he's a guy. Now, I think people from Japan, they come to Memphis, they know who he is. Cause I be meeting folks from Japan and Germany. They go down to High Rackers. They go down to Bill. They know all the side men. He had a cold that day. That's why he wasn't on there. Oh, he had a cold. How you know? He had a sinus infection. You know all that? Yeah, we know everything. See, we don't know us. This is why we're doing this, to understand us. If you know who you are, you know where you can go because you know where you've been. See, they don't teach that at school. It's not on school to teach you who you are. Your folks, your people supposed to teach you about the roots of your tree. It ain't on the school. People don't, I didn't learn about Tulsa. I've been knowing about Tulsa over here of my life. The stuff that I learned about Emmett Till, I learned from the elders in my family from Mississippi before I graduated from grade school. I didn't learn about Mega Evans from school. I learned from volunteering with my mom at the Civil Rights Museum when I was 11, 12 years old. Your people got to inform you about who you are and where you stand. And this is why we got to do this work. I think people saying, I think my voice is okay. Y'all can hear me. Hell, I think y'all can hear me. I can't hear you. People get like audio snob. I can't hear everything. We'll get you better earplugs. I don't know. Get you a better iPhone. Hell, I don't know. It's Mercury retrograde. I'm dealing with it. But what I'm saying is, this is why we got to do this work that we're doing. Like Dick Gregory was a friend of mine. I was friends with Dick Gregory for 6 years. So I was friends with Mr. Abel for about 6 years. Dick Gregory, they cursed me out a lot. So I'm used to adversity. Because old black MFers cursed me out with love. Dick Gregory would curse the hell out of me and say, how's the family? I said, what the hell wrong with you, man? How's the family? And then his family tell me, you are part of the family now. He do his worst, but you just on camera when he do it to you. So you got to understand, like Mr. A.L.L, when they were throwing horns and books at people, they did it out of love and post-traumatic stress disorder. And, Dr. King said that human salvation lies in the hands of the crazily maladjusted. If you're a brilliant person, you can't be normal. Most brilliant people know they're crazy. That's why Charles Meekins them check themselves in the Bellevue. It's only a so-called crazy person that don't know they're crazy. So without further ado, I want to bring on the one and only. He played with everybody, and we're going to talk about this, but we want to give his tribute. And he got a connection to the book a little that he want to talk about. Ain't nothing like it, ain't no TMZ thing, but I'm just saying, just to make it more relatable because he died at 23. So without further ado, the one and only brother George Ralph Collier, you can straight up this microphone. I think it works. I think the microphone loves you and hates me. Like one of my former girlfriends, I had one.
I don't know whether I want to touch the mic now, Yeah. Today is my birthday.
She accepted that the conservatorship was going to happen, but she didn't want.
I like cupcakes, but don't try to put 75 candles on a cupcake. It just ain't gonna work. But Booker Little, my mom, grew up in Dixie Home and stuff like that, and she said that she used to hear him practice all of the time. And this cat practiced so much that he would practice 1 hour before he go to school. That's one to play some trumpet, And I dated his niece, and I don't owe you anything, do I? Okay, cool, real cool. I got these new quarters now. Oh, okay, there's 2 quarters on a nickel. Okay, then, all right, then that'll work. But anyway, Booker was a heck of a trumpet player. I mean, he was doing things the cats are doing now. He was doing them then. He and Max and all those guys would get together, and George Coleman, they all grew up in the same vicinity, Dixie Home over here, Scutterfield right here, so he had to come from Dixie Home and go through Scutterfield, so, but Mr. A.L.L and it's just a ton of people that used to practice together. Him, George Coleman, Lucius Coleman, I can't name all them cats, man. Honeymoon, Daddy Goodlow, which is Fred Ford, all them cats used to practice what Mr. A.L.L used to say. Yeah, man, them motherfuckers, man, used to get together, man. I said, Mr. A.L.L, I'm too young and crazy. He said, well, just learn, goddammit, you're gonna be all right. So one day, he really cursed me out because I stayed up the street from him and he was gonna give me a ride to school. But little did I know he didn't have any brakes in his car. So when we got to Daisy and Chelsea, Mr. A.L.L pushed down on it, he looked at me, like, God damn it, put your foot out the door and stop the car, I never forget that, I actually opened the door and that's stop the car. But I'm going to do this tune called Body and Soul. But I'm going to start off with something else. Then I'm going to go into it, okay? Thank you. That tune and another tune, and the hardest tune for me to play. And I retired from the fire department, and for 23 years, I played bugle. So whenever somebody left, they always asked me to play. And that's so hard. Those simple little notes. Da, da, da. You know, it's worse than giant steps, you know. But I played that and had to go through it. And am I through? I can do. I remember Clifford. Do the same thing as I remember Booker. Same thing as that. I remember y'all. All right. Chop's getting tired.
I know your chops are tired, but I got to do you right. It's your birthday. I hope they can hear me like they can hear you. I mean, I'm just cursed like that. Gee. I want to present you with this legacy award. You are Jimmie Lunceford legacy recipient, and you earned this. I'm gonna tell you why. I had to do his background credit.
Everything's gonna be all right. Got a brand new.
check on him on his credentials, man. You know, like, who you play with? Who speak for you? Who, you know? Yeah, I got all the people. I'm gonna say it. I hope they can hear me. I hope they can hear. Look, first of all, he's a disciple of Mr. Emerson Abel, right there. He hanged out with the Abel man, Emerson Abel Jr. Then he played the Florida A&M Marching 100. He didn't tell me about that until I interrogated him. Had to waterboard him for that. Then let's go. Let's run it down. Pepper Adams, Richard Groove Holmes, Bobby Lavelle, our king. He coming up. The best is yet to come. Calvin Newborn, may he rest in peace. Sidney Kirk, get well soon. Roscoe Gordon, O.V. Wright, Little Johnny Taylor, Lanny McMillan, Phil Joyner, may he rest in honor. Otis Smith, Terry Saffold, Cecil McDaniels, Herman Green, may he rest in honor. Yeah, Eddie, I mean, it's some other people dead on here, but I'm just saying, you know, recently dead folk. Eddie Pud Daniels, Sylvester Sample, Tony Reedus, Tony Reedus. Sam Crocker, Ruby Wilson. You know who Ruby is, the queen. Tony Green, another queen. The Coasters, RB in the Game, and James Williams. I say all this to say he didn't record with you guys. He played with them on the road and playing gigs and stuff. He's a musician. You understand? He's a musician. And like Charlie Parker said, I hope y'all can hear me at home. To paraphrase Charlie Parker, your music is your life experiences. If you don't live what you play, it won't come out your horn. So you touch a sincere place with me as a fellow horn player, man. You got your style. And I think Booker Little is smiling upon you as well as Clifford Brown. Booker Little was so great that he took the place of his idol, Clifford Brown, in Max Roach's band, along with George Coleman. Go on YouTube, take a look, it's all online. This is why Booker Little should be acknowledged. There's no reason. If you are great at what you do, he was great at what he did. And he basically gave his life for his art. He was great at that. He gave it all. Like I talked to his granddaughter, like the fact he was making these masterpieces when he was in pain, constant pain. He died of Romania, the kidney problems at 23. But yet he left this amazing legacy for ears that can hear and hearts that can receive. Thank you so much, Booker Little. Thank you, George, Lincoln, Ralph Collier. We love you madly. Happy birthday. Okay. I'm gonna take a picture with him. I've been reading it what it said. Y'all know what it said, right? The 2021 Jimmie, this is 2021 now. I know it's Mercury retrograde, but he's this year. The 2021 Jimmie Lunceford Legacy Award presented to brother G. Ralph Collier for a life dedicated to excellence in music and music education. Thank you for sharing your gift with us. And I want to take a picture.
I'm gonna say this. Wow. Because I was not expecting this. You know what I'm saying? It's just wow. But right briefly, my mom, I think when my great aunt died, she had a clarinet and a fife and a flute that my grandfather made when he was playing with Jimmie Lunceford. Yeah, I found that out. And this clarinet was a classic, you know, and I was 11 years old and I was a Boy Scout and we went camping down in Sardis, Mississippi. Came back that Sunday and I said, man, I smell barbecue, grandmama cooking. And she had taken the clarinet and the flute, the fife, and broke it up and used it as firewood. And he also played with W.C. Hanley too. But again, I thank everybody, you know, and thank you.
And there was the great Ralph Collier doing this thing in honor of Booker Little, 2020 posthumous homecoming court king. And he's truly a class act. I really enjoy him. I love his trumpet playing, the expression he has, and the joy. You could tell he has a lot of joy in performing for the people and giving the best of him. Now, that story is interesting about his grandmother burning up his grandfather's instruments, like his clarinet. His grandfather used to play with Jimmie Lunceford. Had no idea. Like I had no idea that my grandmother used to perform with Jimmie Lunceford. I mean, just like the ancestor stars are real and they want their stories to be told. But it reminds me of something almost similar. I had a chance that one of Jimmie Lunceford's nephews, I met one of his nephews in Vegas. Then this other nephew kind of, found me some way. My information is everywhere. His name is James Tarpley. He's a retired lawyer in the Boston area. I need to reach out to him, see how he's doing. Hopefully he's still around. But he talked about how Jimmie Lunceford, like his aunt Crystal was married to Jimmie. And when Jimmie passed away, his aunt Crystal gave him Jimmie Lunceford's saxophone. And from my understanding, I believe he left it at home when he went to college. And when he came back from college on one of his vacations or whatnot, found out that his mom got rid of Jimmie Lunceford's alto saxophone. I mean, I don't know if she gave it away or pawned it. I don't know what she did, but she just got rid of his saxophone. That's crazy to me. I mean, man, oh my God. But but I had my grandma throw out my comic books and baseball cards. I guess it's just normal, but we don't really understand or appreciate the things that we do as a people. That's why we need healing. And I'm just glad I had no idea that his grandfather had that connection to the Lunceford legacy. But this is why we do the work that we do at WeAllBe. And like I said, that came out of my pocket. It's hard to raise funds and stuff. I mean, it's weird that we have a 501c3, but it's not supported, but a profit is always without honor. And I got to wrap this up. I thank y'all for rocking out with us. I hope the sound is loud and clear. But let me see. Like I said, I gotta get ready to go to New York. Man, I just all understand my mind. I be digging myself in these holes, but Baba Dick woke me up in New York. He anointed me as the feeder, whatever that means. But now I'm learning to embrace it. And I'm not gonna show I won't show no pictures of my feet on here. Ain't that type of audience, that. It's a different type of audience. Our people are good people. They don't want to see my sweaty feet on here. But I ain't that hard to find. Got all my contact information down the scroll. You send me a picture, I send you a picture of my sweaty feet. Do a fair exchange. How about that? Okay. Man. I'm about to drive thousands of miles. Oh, life of a run. Mr. Unteachable. And this is WeAllBe, News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
To know. Man, I looked at that smile on your face just now. Mm-hmm. And the first time I ever wished I was a photographer to take that picture and let the world see that honesty and that integrity. And know some of the things I know, how you drive all over the country to chase us down. Chase us down. Okay? We move so fast. I don't know if you're married. I don't know if you're a family. I don't know if you're a wife. Okay? But when we get on here, we bosom friends. Anytime I see you, I stop whatever I'm doing. Hey, my man, how are you? Hey. Hey, man, what, that's, I owe that to you. It's the obligation that you have. How old are you?
Oh, 36.
So you don't have the right to do what 36 people do. You don't have the right to go to the dance or go to the party. You don't have a right to take that trip to Europe when I might need that plane fare to fly somebody else to feed my people that love me. Mm-hmm. You feed them. Oh, it's one thing being hungry from food. Right. There's another thing being hungry for information.
That's right.
And that's you the feeder. You got to be the farmer. You got to grow the crop. Huh? You got to till the grain. And at nighttime, when you hear something that sounds like water, you got to go see if the crop's going to be flooded. That's your job, man.
Okay. I guess it brings this edition of WeAllBe to a close. A little bit under 4 minutes. 4 hours. I wish it were 4 minutes. Thank y'all for rocking with me. The ones who are able to rock, who will look at this in the replays. Like I said, By Friday, I should be in the Big Apple. Gonna hit these roadways. Thank you for the prayers of safe passage, and thank y'all for rocking with me. Some of y'all been rocking with me for whole years, and know that the best is yet to come. Got a lot to share with you all. This is only the beginning, and like Dick said, I'm the feeder, and I must feed my people. So let me read a disclaimer before I get out of here. And y'all know I support. We still accepting cash apps and Vimo and Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle. You could do the Cash App $ R2C2H2. That's $ R2C2H2. I need some gas money and some other things. It's fascinating. But also you can Google Pay or PayPal or Zelle your support at R2C2H2 @gmail.com. That's R2C2H2 @gmail.com. Also about Artivist Art, R2C2H2.com, R2C2H2.com. We're Artivist Art. It's Black Music Month. Got a lot of art that's inspired by Black music. Just like music. Ooh, ooh. You get right there. You go below the description box on YouTube video. There's a link to our Teespring. Look at that shelf for some of our Teespring t-shirts. Access that and pick. I got a variety of shirts. I got so much work, man. It's ridiculous. I do a better job promoting myself. I guess this is the year that Mr. Unteachable learned something about the art of promotion. So anyway, let me read a disclaimer. I think y'all can hear me. The views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. And that does it, boys and girls, scholars and laymen, the woke and the wokish, the sleep and the sheeple. We love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. One time, one love, good night. See how it works? Love y'all.